everybody, it's your favorite third-rate Star Wars podcaster, Zach here. On this week's episode of Knights of Vader, we recorded this last Sunday, and we spent easily the first 30 minutes to an hour talking about the whole Slave One fire spray non-traversy. What we now know is a non-traversy because at the time we were going with the flow with everybody else. Apparently we all thought this was confirmed, but it seems as if there is erroneous information about Slave One being called the fire spray. So please forgive us for any sort of misleading information at the beginning of this episode or throughout it regarding Boba Fett's starship. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And but we didn't want to cut it out because there's a bunch of fun banter and conversation that's in there. So to cut it out would deprive the audience of all of our delightful shenanigans.
1, 2, 3, 4.
In this podcast, you will hear Knights of Vader. Knights of Vader includes, but is not limited to, talk of Star Wars, not ray guns. We can truly prepare for the jump that follows this song. But hey, we gave it a try. So here's the Knights of Vader. Crystal Fox reports they are divided. Prequel, sequel, canon, love they fighted. I know that we are just musicians hired, and their time is up. So here's the Knights of Vader.
Impressive. Most impressive.
A big thank you to An Inspiriority Complex providing our theme song. It is August 15th, 2021, Ben Affleck's birthday. My name is Zach Weber, and joining me today is the man who does not have Cinemax, Zenger.
I mean, that is true, but I also want to wish Rob a happy birthday. I know it's less important than the Ben Affleck birthday, but I want to make sure we get that in there.
Yes, it is Rob's birthday, but he would definitely want us to focus more on the Ben Affleck's part of all this. And after that, we have Chris Porteous, who is now just the sole Star Wars collector in all of Canada.
Your mission's now complete. You've killed all the other ones.
Yeah, you know, it just they were all the rest of them were like having a meetup on Camino. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. But you know, I'm glad I'm here because like maybe now I'll be able to resolve this big question I've had for a long time, because I feel like one time I asked you why Ben Affleck's birthday is important, but then as you started answering, all I have is like missing time. Like I don't really know what you said, so hopefully we can resolve that today.
Okay, and we have the master of the McClunkies, Russ Ryan.
All these Wookiees are dead. Move to the east. Yes, sir.
Hello, and yes, happy birthday, Ben Affleck, and Rob, or Bob, or Ren. However, if we can put them together somehow, happy birthday, both of you.
And last but not least, Joe Yazzo, who does not really have a goofy title yet.
Not yet. I'm working on it, though.
The master, I already said master, like what is it, R2-D2 Peeps?
That's right.
Like coming soon to Easter Isle nearest you?
That is true. I'm going to try and trademark that. I'm communicating out to Lucasfilm and try to get my R2-D2 on a Peep for the holiday season next spring.
Some little kid sees it and just starts crying.
I know. It's going to be like, someone already put it in the microwave, Mom. Can I have it?
Oh, boy. Yes, folks, it is Ben Affleck's birthday. In another world, we'd be finally talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League. As if I only have two podcasts where I could talk about this. I have been hounding Zenger for months now for the ZengThis episode of Zack Snyder's Justice League that hopefully sometime in 2023 we will get to.
I mean, if that's the goal, I think that's an obtainable one for me.
I don't know, Zenger, the rate Endgame went with you. I don't know. Has Ellie seen Zack Snyder's Justice League yet?
No, absolutely not.
But say that's like 3 end games. There's no way they're getting to that in the next couple of years.
Ellie still has to watch Far From Home.
We actually, in a fun turn of events, I don't know if we ever actually purchased it or not. So I had to buy another copy of it, possibly, or a first copy. I don't remember if I bought it or not. Like, that's how impactful that movie was.
It's almost as if ZengThis devoted, back in 2019, like 3-4 episodes to that.
Yeah.
I was on.
Yeah, and I maybe I bought it. I can't remember. So we bought another copy because it was only like $10. So,
Yeah. All right. All Ben Affleck nonsense aside, Star Wars nonsense. We have the ending of season 1 of The Wild Bunch. We have Chris Porteous, who last week purchased a metallic, Razor Crest, who finally got it in the mail the other day. We have the official new name of the ship formerly known as Slave One. All sorts of revelatory conversation topics on Knights of Vader, plus the normal sprinkling of non sequiturs and tangents. So, gentlemen, out of all these exciting topics, which would you like to discuss first? Does anyone want to talk about the official new name of Slave One?
I'd say, yeah, let's talk about that. That's like we're finally having the actual questions you ask answered. Like we did an entire episode. It was called Boba Fett Starship. The fact that we're actually getting answers on that is surprising.
Wait a second. I thought we were supposed to watch a Ben Affleck movie and talk about it.
Which Ben Affleck movie did you watch, Zenger?
I watched Chasing
Dogma.
Amy. Oh, we're both into Kevin Smith first.
Duh, Dogma. When given the choice, you go with Dogma every time.
Hey, I go for Pearl Harbor, man.
Ugh.
Pearl Harbor, man. Is that another superhero thing he did before?
Yes, him and Josh Hartnett.
What happened to him?
I don't
We
think he
gonna find
exists
him.
anymore. I don't think he exists anymore.
He's an avocado farmer.
Is he really?
No.
Oh no, I was about to say that is real enough that I'm like, I kind of want to believe it because it's so unbelievable that it's just possible.
You
He's
can
gonna
see
turn
it.
up in the Joker in a couple of years, and everyone's gonna love it.
He'll be Batman, Russ. Come on.
He
Hollywood
came
just go.
back. He came back.
But yes, okay. Who wants to go around and tell everybody? Does everybody know the official new name? Did everybody read the article where Lucasfilm low key sprinkled it in?
I did, but let me see if I can remember from memory. Is it the Spitfire?
The fire
No.
spray.
Oh, it's close.
Yeah, Boba Fett's new ship, or technically the ship formerly known as Slave One, is now the Fire Spray.
I have an opinion about that.
I do too.
Okay, put a pin in that, you two. I think we have to ask the only person that truly matters, who will probably be the most hostile about this, is Chris Porteous.
I don't think you know
the
how
one-
hostile I'm about to get.
I don't know. Chris Porteous probably has more invested merchandise with this name on it than any of us do.
You're definitely not wrong there, and as far as I'm concerned, it's looking up because everything that says Slave One on it is now officially 30 to 40% more awesome than it was before. So that's part of it's fine. The part that bothers me about the name is, of course, as we all know, the class of the model of starship that the Slave One was a Fire Spray 31 class patrol and attack craft, which you can't name it the first part of its model name. That's like if Boba Fett drove a Toyota, he just calls his ship the Toyota. That's very dumb. But
I thought it was Fett's Vet. That was the thing.
Yeah. Well, the wonderful.
More like a pickup truck.
Yeah, I mean it's really quite ridiculous. It's so I don't know if the Slave One has a canonical origin, but I believe the Legends origin was, if I'm not mistaken, shown in the Bounty Hunter video game, because Jango Fett starts out with a ship that's not unlike the Razor Crest in some ways, and he ends up with the Slave One, and I think it was designed to be the ultimate space cop police vehicle, basically, and there was 5 of them, and you blow up some space station where they're made, and you get away with the last one or something like that, which is that's a fun story. It was supposed to be a prototype. It explains why it's the only one of that kind. So I guess just because it's the only one, it's a little tiny bit more acceptable to name it the model, because there's no other ones left, but that's not canon anymore, I guess. I don't know if there's a canon backstory to the ship. Do you, Zach?
Unless
How do
it's
you find
comics
parts for
related,
it,
probably
though?
not.
It's the only one. How's he keeping it around for so long? That's why it looks kind of bad in some of them.
Well, I think Django picked it up not long before Attack of the Clones in Legends, of course.
I don't know. Like, it's just like I said, I think Chris probably gave the best analogy imaginable. Imagine you buy like a Toyota Prius and like, hey man, like look at my new car. I named it the Prius. And it's like everyone just kind of like tilts their head to the side and it's like, really imaginative, Dave. Really imaginative. Yeah, very uninspired and weird that Lucasfilm feels this was something that like in the dawn of Boba Fett getting a new level of focus on him, that this had to be corrected. Like I said, it's kind of like don't let anybody know that Anakin was a slave in the Phantom Menace. The fact that the Death Star is responsible for the murder of at least 1 billion people plus.
I feel safer now for one.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's a baffling thing that like of all the problems Lucasfilm has right now, that this is something they felt they had to kind of like low key deal with. But anyway, though, go ahead, Mr. Yazzo, and then Zenger.
Yay.
Yeah, that's just, it was. I think it was just someone, misreading the tea leaves on this one here. They sit there like someone probably from Lucasfilm. Well, it's a fire spray. They're like, okay, that's its new name. That's what we'll go with that. Yeah, fire spray. I don't think it has anything really to do with it. You're gonna hear that. You're probably gonna see the reveal of the ship's new name in the Boba Fett show. I don't think they're gonna just re-release that name before the show comes out. It's gonna be their own secret reveal. It's gonna be like Baby Yoda.
Or they'll just continue not to say it like they have for 40 years.
Exactly. Except in the comic books, the only thing I could find online was the episode in the Clone Wars where it was done in the novelizations after the trilogy when Boba Fett returns, and in the comic book. That's it. You never hear it in the anything else. You heard it in the video game when Jango Fett got it.
Well, if it is set in the Clone Wars, which I thought it was, but like I sounds like you're confirming that, then it's a shame for Disney that Slave One is a canon name and they can't erase it off all their websites and all that goodness. They can change the URL for that one page, but they have to include in there that Boba Fett felt the need to generically rename it at some point.
And I think you'll find that out during the show. I don't think they're going to have that reveal. I think they're trying to make news.
Zach, do you recall where did the name come from? Was it from like War of the Bounty Hunters or something?
Yeah, it's from a new comic that's coming out that like has like done some weird things. Like it's reintroduced Dirge into canon. Heroes made her first like reappearance back in like since like the ending of Solo. Yeah, that's apparently what it is. Like, but the fact that like I don't know. Like I said, I this feels like something that Lucasfilm is trying to get ahead of the curve on. And like I said, in the dawn of the Book of Boba Fett coming out in a couple of months. Again, it goes back to there's a video I made everybody watch, and it'll be linked in the show notes. But I think it goes back to the notion of we're letting the toy people decide things again, going back to like prequel era Lucasfilm decisions. That's the vibe I'm getting. But before I delve into that, Zenger, tell us your thoughts on this after waiting so patiently on your end.
I mean, I've still got the Slave One Lego, like the other one, not the new one. So, I mean, I'm going to call it the Slave One Lego from now on, just so people know where I stand on that. But more or less, can I say once again, most pointless thing ever? Can I just say that?
But it's, like, I don't think it is pointless. I think they're trying to get it. I think they're trying again. They wouldn't be doing this if they weren't making a Boba Fett like centric project. I don't think they would be doing this. I think something either it's their own politically correct ideology or something the market research is telling them. Lucasfilm doesn't really do anything because they're bored. They're doing it because they think it's going to lead to something beneficial.
But are they going to go back in every single one of the movies now and dub over somebody saying slave?
They should. It reminds me. I told you. I think I brought this story up a couple of weeks ago. That like in the like before Rogue One came out, like at Disney World and Disneyland, like Disney Star Wars Launch Bay, like all the like Science of Death Troopers called them something like Despair Troopers. Like they had like some really
dumbest thing ever.
I'm not a fire spray. I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Okay, it wasn't as dumb as Despair, but like it had something like oh god, like it began with the letter D, but it was something that like didn't have the word death in it.
Destroy.
It might have been something like that. It might have been
Deranged
Trooper. I like that. Again, it's Lucasfilm being Lucasfilm. They like manufacturing their own controversies.
I also feel like they just I feel like it's somewhere written in like bylaws or in every office, miss the mark every time. Like like I said, I just don't see how this was like a big like push. Like they need to get this done immediately. There's so much other stuff I think they could have tackled or vaguely even dealt with.
It's just a weird corporate decision that was just made by someone who was looking a couple years in the future saying, we're making a Boba Fett show. What if we're making a playland for this place? We can't have kids playing on a Slave One on this thing. It's just a total corporate decision. I do think they'll address it on the show, and I think it'll turn out that that it's actually a transformer, and his name is Fire Spray. He's going to introduce himself to Boba Fett, and he's going to help him to, I don't know what he's supposed to do, conquer the underworld.
You know, as a fan of Transformers and of Star Wars, I hate that idea.
Don't you dare, Zenger. That's the only that's the ideal reason for them doing this, because that's a pretty nice name for a Transformer.
D. Bradley Baker is Fire Spray.
I'm almost positive there. It's Spitfire, right? I'm almost positive a Transformer already exists called Spitfire.
Fire Spray.
Fire Spray, whatever. That's how forgettable this is.
Jetfire.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's Jetfire. Okay, so it's Spitfire.
Fire Spray.
Fire Spray.
This is the comedic relief in the first episode where he's like, it's not Spitfire. I am Fire Spray.
He's like, I know it's a Fire Spray, but what's it called?
It becomes like an Abbott and Costello level routine. Hey, Zenger, this is your backdoor pilot into Detours.
What, me just making jokes about this constantly?
No, them. They're like, someone's like, oh, Battleship's here. I want you to park my Fire Spray. They're like, what? They're like, yeah, the Fire Spray. Sir, that's the name of the class of the ship, not the name. No, it's the Fire Spray. It just keeps going on and just nobody stops.
Why not the Sonic Dropper?
I've got good news and bad news.
You found a nickel.
The bad news is there is no Transformer named Fire Spray that I can find. I will continue to look for it. But I did find Transformer Spray Fire, which is just a ton of pictures of Transformers exploding and then them getting hosed down. So, interesting.
So yeah, Fire Spray. I would imagine across the board, nobody's ideally happy with this.
I guess not. Unless, Zenger says he has the Lego Star Wars Slave One. I have that too. I've got the one that comes with the Dengar and all that. So I don't know if that gets to be worth some more. Sure, change it, because it'll always be known as that, or Nebraska, Flying Nebraska.
Yeah, exactly.
Will it though?
Well, yeah, I think it will, because if it is actually in that Clone Wars episode, it is canon, so they have to like have a reason why it changes, and not only that, but like there's just 40 years of numerous products that have. I think this is what this is why it doesn't bother me like that much, because obviously everybody knows like you got to keep your expectations in check. Like, this is Disney Star Wars after all. Like, settle down, everybody. Like, it's obviously going to be bland and not very spicy or exciting in any way. So once you accept that, and then you sort of like, the way I like to look at it is whether you look back at the action figure vehicles offered in the Kenner line, or even if you go to Power of the Force 2, because it's the same products basically. There's something specifically especially ridiculous about the Slave One, because you have X-Wing, TIE Fighter, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, Millennium Falcon. It's definitely the weirdest out of all those things, and the most like I'm looking at the original like Empire Strikes Back box right now. Big bold letters, Slave One, and then underneath that, because they knew it was weird, it says Boba Fett's spaceship. This is the 1980 box. So they knew that it was a stumbling block for parents to read that back then, because it's just like, what the heck is that? So the fact that like that they're finally catching up with that, because now like marketing and audience communication is like higher ranking in the priorities than it ever has been for Lucasfilm. I'm not really surprised.
I guess, but like it's kind of weird to think that like the trajectory of that ship stems from like a Star Wars Robot Chicken sketch.
Yeah, I could hear him saying fire spray when you've got Boba sitting at the bottom of the Sarlacc, and he's like, and then I fire sprayed him all over. Like, I don't know why I could hear him referencing as that.
Just throwing this out there, I think I know where they got the name from. There's a line of First Alert fire extinguishers called Easy Fire Spray, and I guarantee you they were sitting in an office and someone high up in Lucasfilm, whoever, just walks in and screams at them, I need a name for this ship by the end of today or you're all fired. Walks out, they all turn and look at the fire extinguisher, stare at it for about 20 minutes, and someone goes, so we're going to call it fire spray, right? Yeah. And then they walk out and go get Chinese food.
I'm very confused because I can't tell if Zenger is making like a very clever reference to like the theorized origin of the shape of the Slave One being a streetlight outside of an ILM office. I don't know what is going on right now.
There are wipes going on in his brain right now, and he saw that, the Slave One wiping into this lamppost to this scene. Yeah, you're right. It is lazy, but it's also like, well, what does this one thing do? It's like, well, it drops sonic things and it sprays fire. And I'm like, well, do the other thing a lot. What does it do more? What's cooler?
I mean, it would have been cool if they named it Sonic Boom.
Is there a worse name they could have given it?
Sonic. Just
They could
called
have
it
given it
Sonic.
a sign like Prince.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
And Boba Fett does spray fire.
Or just
So
not
don't
name the
forget that.
ship. Just
People
had it
kept
been
calling Boba
unnamed.
Fett that. He was like, no, it's my ship's name. Don't call me that.
They should have just stolen some other ship's name from Legends canon that was way better, like
Outlander.
like the Houndstooth
Outrider.
or the Virago or the Moldy Crow. Something they should have taken something good from Legends instead of like fire spray, because it's like if you actually know the old canon, it just pisses you off because of how like wrong it is for it to be named that.
I still say they should call it the Outrider.
Even if it erases like Dash Rendar from canon.
I mean,
I think that's been done already, right?
Actually, fun fact, in the graphic novel for the Thrawn books, the ship that Thrawn uses that he got from a smuggler is an Outrider class ship.
Oh.
So technically kind of canon. I don't know.
Can you imagine like an old pissed off Dash Rendar like Harrison Ford in the sequel trilogy? That would be
perfect.
highly
I'd love that.
necessary.
Perfect role for Ben Affleck.
Oh, and his co-pilot is just Matt Damon. Not
Exactly.
like as a character, just Matt Damon.
It's like, who's your co-pilot? Matt Damon. Oh. How about them apples?
Perfect.
Apparently, there is there's an Age of Republic comic book called Jango Fett, which includes Slave One.
It also goes over the history of the Slave One, because he was captured and he was on a facility and he was a slave, and that's why he took the ship, because the people that were policing it had that class of ship.
Is that true? Or are you just making that up?
I read it.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
It was to give a meaning to the Slave One, and then also they had the Slave Two back in the Marvel comics.
Is this Legends, Joe, or canon, or like contemporary canon?
That's Legends, because it was like in the 80s that Boba Fett came by with his Slave 2.
Oh.
It was after he came out of the Sarlacc pit the second time.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
this was an early attempt, Zach, at them going, whoa, hold on now. He calls it this for a reason.
Yeah, it's their attempt to sit there and the reason why it's called the Slave One. That was his call sign, almost like Rogue One.
He's like, you know how many slaves you can fit in this puppy? And he slaps the side of it in the comic. It's a great scene.
Like he's flying away. You don't have clearance to take that ship. What's your call sign? Slave One. There you go. Boom. Canon.
Boom. Flip it.
You see what I mean? Like,
Boom, copy it slightly and put it in Rogue One.
but like, I don't like. It's like yes, I find it what they're doing abhorrent, but like, as with the rest of you, it seems like it's not like it's hard to get like super annoyed by it just because like you'd have to be really like I'm just not dialed like extremely dialed into like the current canon. Like the more the bounty hunter covers seem like kind of entertaining. Like that's the first time I've like felt like reading modern Star Wars comics in a while. I got the first one. I have not read it yet. I don't know. Like it has Zuckuss and Forlom on the front. Like that's a plus.
Is it?
I think a part of it, Chris, is just I think we're all just exhausted. Like how many times can we get upset over Star Wars at this point? It's like, oh, they're renaming Boba Fett shit. Yeah, but I think this is one of those instances where everyone's just like, let's just keep our powder dry. And I think like the fandom at large, and especially like the not my Star Wars contingent of the fandom, is relatively just pacified with the Mandalorian. And I think like, once again, this goes like the idea of like doing a Boba Fett TV show. It seems like every lesson they kind of had learned from doing the Mandalorian is disregarded because like the Mandalorian essentially was like, okay, we can't make it like any sort of entertainment property out of Boba Fett because what makes him special is the fact that like he's like the man with no name. And then it's like, okay, so let's just like create a not Boba Fett character and just give him all those storylines. Then it's like, oh no, we're gonna bring Boba Fett back. And it's like, oh, okay, so we have to give him lore again. It's like, yup. Are we gonna explain his backstory that doesn't need to be explained? Yup. And then it's like, okay, like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see how the people who hate the sequel trilogy, like, but yet love the Mandalorian, are gonna respond to the Book of Boba Fett. Like, I think it's gonna be another one of those series because, like, think about it. Everybody got mad over Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Is there any other like Star Wars character that's like as sacred in the Star Wars fandom as Boba Fett in that regard? Like, in the sense of just like everybody has their own like preconceived notion as to what Boba Fett is without it being like laid out.
Max Rebo.
Zenger, I hate you. Go back to looking for Cinemax.
I think I'm Ben
They didn't-
Quadraneros, but no, I'll take that.
Yeah.
You're right. As long as they don't touch Ben's backstory.
But like they like isn't the most impressive thing about Mandalorian season 2 is that they featured Boba Fett so much and like no one. I mean, I think no one thinks they ruined him
because he didn't really do anything other than be badass. I think about everything he does. Like, he is used very, very sparingly in season 2 for no other reason than like he's getting his own show. Don't like
okay,
use him sparingly.
Yeah, but use sparingly, but also by coincidence, probably more screen time than all of his other appearances combined.
Yeah, but like but this is the brilliance though, is that like they did with Boba Fett in season 2 what they did with like Darth Vader in Rogue One, Darth Vader in Rebels, Darth Vader in Jedi Fallen Order. They used him like super sparingly, and when he is involved, he's just doing badass things.
Yeah,
whether it be this is no spice dream or
his motivations. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like it's there's a lot of gaps there. Like why, like if he was able to chase the Mandalorian like within a day of him leaving Tatooine, why was he even still on Tatooine at all? Like why, like his feverish devotion to the Mandalorian and the child for like no particular reason is kind of weird. It seems kind of out of his established lore.
He made a deal. Like, okay, this is something I will give them. He does make, like, as he says, like in that episode, he's like, I made a deal for safe passage of the child until like our debt is settled, because he does take the armor back. So like you're giving him like a code of honor, which doesn't really align with like the badass that Boba Fett is made out to be, who's like devil may care, like I'll take what's mine.
I like that, but he does kind of steal the armor instead of it being a upfront trade.
Sure, no, that's cool. But like, no, like I said, I have no problem with how he's used in season 2. I'm just afraid that like by making him the sole like focal point in his own show seems like the exact same sort of like mentality that got the unintentional pun Solo movie canceled like the weekend after Solo debuted in May 2018. Like it
Let's
goes
all think
right
back to that time real quick.
Yes, the very uncomplicated time in the Star Wars fandom of May 2018.
Yes, we were all sitting at Denny's, just getting all of our cards and cup toppers. It's exciting.
Thermster Scissor Punch, the greatest character that still is not an action figure.
He's the other one. Don't touch his lore.
Oh boy, that's Joe. That's the first character I want you to 3D print for me. I don't care how much the 3D like design costs to purchase. I want a Therm Scissor Punch action figure, 3 3/4 inch scale.
I will look for it and I will get it to you.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, anything else about the fire spray, or are we done milking the Boba Fett tea?
That's enough of that thing.
All right. Would we like to discuss Chris Porteous's Super Duper Metal Razor Crest or the season 1 finale of the Wild Bunch?
Hold on, where am I in?
We should do the Wild Bunch because it's going to be the quickest thing.
Well, okay. We can probably talk a little bit about season 1 as a whole. I would imagine all of us are caught up. Or
hold on.
Spoiler alert. R.I.P.
Hold
Camino.
on. Hold on 1 second. Getting there.
Zenger's just like, I'm scrubbing.
So he's not. I think he's not sure if he's caught up, which is very telling about the finale.
I am 6 episodes away from being caught up.
How do you not know if you're caught up or not?
I'm like, am I at the end? Because there seemed to be a logical end coming to the series, but nope. Apparently 6 more episodes.
So like all this talk about like R.I.P. Camino, like were you just like, oh, did they blow up the planet prematurely? Did somebody like push the wrong button and blow up?
Is this Omega's sister Camino that they just lazily named, or anything could have been happening?
Is this the new name for the Bad Batch's ship, Camino?
I mean, anything's possible at this point with this series. I'm so interested in it. I stopped watching. I kind of paid more attention to it over the assigned reading I was supposed to do. That's how interesting the assigned reading was. I went back to watching Bad Batch.
Thank you.
There's your answer to if I watched it or not, Zach.
The way you said Bad Batch sounded like a slur. Bad Batch.
So that sounds like Zenger's not going to be mad if we talk about the end, because that's what I'm getting from this.
He's indifferent toward it.
I mean, you're going to save me 6 episodes worth of time. So, I mean,
there's some pretty good episodes in those last 6.
I'll admit. Okay, so today I was like, you know what? I should probably get caught up on Bad Batch because I got a funny feeling. And I went from episode 4 all the way to episode 9.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Wow, the solid chunk.
Zenger's like, I'm only going to get to so many episodes there are in the film series that I'm going to check out.
Well, the good thing, though, Zenger, is if you catch up, don't worry. It's not over. It's never going to be over, apparently. It's not much of a payoff.
Oh, I know. I know that there's another season coming. I know that, like, I'm on the internet enough, and you know what? I haven't had this spoiled for me, so I feel like it's not that important.
It's really not. It was the lamest. If that was supposed to be the cliffhanger, I know you guys talked about last week, like, we're going to see what the big, there's going to be some kind of big reveal at the end and something, a little tease for next season. Showing a Camino in, what was her name? Nanami or Namale or something? Nalase.
Namaste.
We're so honored to have you here. And that's it. I was like, all right. Ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's weird that like after how like episode 15 ends with them blowing up Camino, and you're like, oh man,
I feel like you're messing with me at this point almost.
Okay, they don't blow up the plant; they blow up the cloning facility.
Oh, okay.
Which means Zenger, no Star Killer.
Oh.
now Zenger's angry. Yeah, it was like as I was watching it Friday morning, I was just kind of like waiting for something like kind of like the proverbial like big like oh like this is like it'd be the like momentum into season 2, and then it's like it's just them it's the Poseidon adventure, but with like a bunch of D. Bradley Bakers, and
100% less death of the main characters.
Okay, I don't care about them killing characters. Like,
how do lasers work?
And leaving that less echo. You guys brought up that echo a lot of times. Just standing in the room when I didn't even remember he was in this until I'm like, oh yeah, he's still here.
He's still here. They turn around to him. They're like, "You're still here." He's like, oh.
Yeah, he's like the guy in Suicide Squad. It was like almost the same feeling.
Marvin?
Oh God. Zenger, you watched the freaking Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I watched an amazing movie.
Oh my God. You watched that over Star Wars nonsense in which you were involved with the Star Wars podcast?
2 Star Wars podcasts. And yeah, I
one Star Wars podcast. There's you only
What
involved
about
with one
Zang
Star
Wars?
Wars. That is not a real thing. That is fake news. That does not
Google
exist.
Zang Wars.
That sounds like just something the globalists would say.
Exactly. Zang Wars tells you that vaccinations will give you microchips. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. If you listen to Zang Wars, it tells you that COVID's a global conspiracy.
Wait, did Zach just get quiet for everyone else, or is that just me?
That's my line.
Oh,
I hate you, Zenger.
this is great stuff.
Zenger, I swear to God, if we get the Suicide Squad episode on ZengThis before Zack Snyder's Justice League, I will burn ZengThis to the ground. I am just letting you know that right now.
As Zanger is uploading the Suicide Squad episode, like, okay, sure.
I swear to God, Zenger. I swear to God.
I'm sorry, my stuff cut out. What did I miss? I just come back to I swear to God, Zinger.
I swear to God, Zenger. I swear to God. But never forget, folks, ZengThis fake news. It doesn't exist. It is
Zing
the
Wars
equivalent
is fake news. ZengThis is real.
No, all of it's fake now. You
Okay,
contaminated the ZengThis podcasting universe.
Cool. So whenever I have to do a news segment on ZengThis, I can just skip it. Thank God.
All right. No, but like, I thought it was a lackluster season 1 finale, considering how like you look at all the other
I
season.
thought
1
it was
finales.
a lackluster season.
No. Okay. You missed some of the best episodes. Like you missed the Ryloth like episodes. Those are pretty good.
I will say, though, hold on. As far as the finale goes and leading up to it, you would love the destruction of Camino because it is Star Destroyers in atmosphere doing horrible things, and that's like your jam. Like I actually thought about you when it went down.
I feel like you're messing with me again. Like this whole
I'm
thing
not
feels
this
like
time. I'm really not. You take me back me up here. You all be like,
Zenger, are you really that like kind of disoriented regarding this?
oh my God. Give me like 5 minutes.
Surely you at least saw the rest in peace Camino memes and such.
No, I haven't seen Jack on this. I can't go a day without getting Loki spoiled for me, but apparently I can just be indifferent to everything Star Wars.
Zenger, literally go find the episode of the Bad Batch called Return to Camino and like scrub through the last 5 minutes.
Working on it.
It literally is like
or
3
the
Venators.
first 2 minutes of Camino Lost, where I think they show it again real quick.
Yeah. Whatever, dealer's choice. It's the idea, Zenger, is that it's like everything Zenger loves in Star Wars. It's like Russ said, Venator class Star Destroyers in atmosphere, and they're blowing up the physical representation of Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones.
It's
Where
true, yes.
where Zenger's favorite plot hole in Star Wars was manifested. Zenger's like, I feel like you're still misleading me here.
Okay, wait a second.
As Zenger watches the Bad Batch in real time.
And you were right about the Poseidon Adventure things. I also thought of, is it Jaws 2 or 3? They're in that underwater.
These are Venator class Star Destroyers. Freaking pansy stuff.
What do you mean? The Venator's the sexiest Star Destroyer.
No, it isn't. The Star Destroyer is the sexiest Star Destroyer.
No.
Zenger,
Imperial
dude,
class.
that doesn't exist yet.
Why is Jaw size with them?
Don't listen to Zang Wars. On Zang Wars, they think the resurgent First Order class Star Destroyer is the best Star Destroyer. On ZengThis, they think the Fire Spray is a good replacement name for Slave One.
God,
Miniaturized Death Star tech.
I love that Rise of Skywalker. I was watching that last
Okay,
night.
why are they doing this in atmosphere? They can do orbital bomb. Oh, I guess these Star Destroyers aren't good enough to use orbital bombardment. They have to be in atmosphere. Pathetic.
Like, I just wanted to watch it out the front window.
Exactly. You want to get up close and personal.
The way the lasers reflect off the rain. Fire!
You may fire when ready, Admiral.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do a lot of like one-to-one quotes. Did you notice that where you can't tell if it's original audio and stuff? But they do say that in the same tone.
Yep. Of course, because like you think about like famous like historical Star Wars characters, they were known for saying the exact same.
Wait
thing
a
all the time.
second. What the crap? Okay.
Oh my god.
No, I go to the next
It's a horrible
episode,
episode of
and
Knights
all
of
of a
Vader.
sudden there's 3 Vander-class Star Destroyers.
You bring up a good point. So
Because there
I
was
want
2 at the end of the previous one, and all of a sudden a third one's there.
yeah.
Herb
So
made it. He wants to help.
Worst,
And they're like, "Oh, fine."
worst episode of Star Wars ever.
yeah. So I don't know. I'm getting the vibe that no one's like particularly taken with this series so far. Like Zach seems to be defending it.
I like this show. I think out of all the Star Wars animated shows, Sans Resistance, I think it's had the strongest season 1.
You don't need to say Sans Resistance.
No,
no one
no,
acknowledges that existence.
No, this is the strongest season 8 of the Clone Wars.
Okay,
That's true.
I'll take that too.
Well, it's
Fair
the only
enough.
season 8 of the Clone Wars, so that's by default. But
Fair enough.
So like I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, this entire season has 2 good episodes.
Ryloth.
Not even the first.
What?
The first episode and Return to Camino are the only 2 that I was actually like glued to the screen, frankly. And
Ryloth was great. Captain Hauser, man.
yeah, he was all right. I mean, that was like acceptable Clone Wars episodes, but I feel like you can get like most of the narrative is in the first episode and the Return to Camino episode. Like there's a lot there where it's like sort of just going through the motions and like, oh man, could I have dealt with like 50% less Sid? Like I'll be generous and say 50% less Sid.
I thought, what about the episode where they go to Braca and it's like all the like decommissioned Venators, like a prelude to Jedi Fallen Order?
But
you have to like go through the records and you have oh god, Crosshairs trying to like reignite like a decommissioned Venator engine to like vaporize the Bad Batch, and he gets like his face incinerated. No. Like I get not thinking this is the greatest thing ever, but this show has its moments. Like there's some episodes that are boilerplate.
But as far as I'm concerned, like it's worth it to watch those 2 episodes. Like you know, like don't get me wrong, like I think there's enough good in those 2 episodes to like bother watching it, because at least one of them is near the end. So there you go. But like
I think there's more to this. This feels like another one of those arguments like why people dislike the Phantom Menace. They're like, yeah, the movie sucks though, but Darth Maul is kind of cool.
No, but
it's like
they
you don't get to just pick out your like cherry pick your favorite moment.
No,
you either like it all or nothing.
That's they shouldn't be episodes then. It should be a movie, and then maybe I would have that opinion. But like the season finale is the best example of this for me. Okay, you have annoying Seth Green droid like barely surviving to save Omega. Like he's pushing the clone pod that you fondly remember throwing at Darth Vader's head with the Force, and and he's guiding it to safety while this droid's like slowly dying, and it's a great moment, completely destroyed by Crosshair somehow seeing through the water and shooting something 200 feet below the surface or whatever it is, like beyond a preposterous act, and totally just robs the emotion of the moment. And it's just like that hurt me when that happened, because it was awesome seeing that droid like sacrifice himself, and then it's just like psych, nothing emotional happens in this show.
What do you mean? You have that entire moment where you see Crosshair pick up the rifle and Hunter just like looks at him because Hunter's put himself in a position of vulnerability, and Crosshair just like aims the rifle at him, and we see him fire and it goes to the droid in the water.
That shot is like that is a cannon breaking shot, just like Galaxy's Edge. Like that shot is ridiculous. It's terrible, and it ruins an awesome moment. Like, oh my god, it bothers me.
That bothers you? We have a moment in this where they are in underwater tubes. They're being crushed by a city collapsing on them, yet somehow they're able to turn the power on to get like, oh god, the giant squid creature repelled off of the glass tubing.
Right. And you're right, and you know what? You're right that I'm putting too much emphasis on the he wouldn't be able to make that shot, which he wouldn't. Like, forget it. We've seen
What
him miss.
basis? What
We've
is
seen
the
him miss
basis?
easier shots in the show numerous times, but forget that completely. The real reason why it's terrible is because it sort of busts up an otherwise awesome moment with Omega and that droid. That's mainly what I don't like about it.
I disagree. I again, I don't think there's tension in killing characters. I don't think that's where
He's
tension
hardly
comes
a
from.
character. It's stupid Seth Green like doing a robot chicken voice. Like, come on, let him do something interesting.
Okay, Zenger, are you gonna come to the defense of your boy?
I don't mean Seth Green's stupid. I mean, let that droid do something interesting. We're done with that character anyway, right?
You know, that could have been a voice he used in for oh my
Idle
gosh,
Hands.
why am I blanking? To what? Detours. He could have been using that voice in Detours. We'll never know though.
One of these days, it's all going to come out.
No, it won't. I'll never get something that would make me so happy. Also, these stupid looking like clone 2 point whatever helmets are dumbish.
Zenger, thank you.
Those are TK helmets, Singer.
Done with them.
What does TK mean? What they talking about? I did like that part where they that was the Return to Camino, right? When we first see those guys. I guess Zenger's watching Return to Camino as we speak. So yes,
No, I'm watching like the final 5 minutes of this show where it's got a ton of look like Delta Force.
That's War Mantle. That's War Mantle. War Mantle's the one where they go to like the mountain planet and we see Scorch. We get a member of Delta Squad who takes like literally like wipes out the entire Bad Batch. And it takes like what 4 or 5 stun shots to like take him down. And he captures Hunter.
Okay. My entire argument's defeated because I forgot about that episode. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
See, I did know about that.
So Zenger's not completely. He's just kind of
I knew Scorch was in it because like apparently my algorithms are like, hey, something actually interesting in Star Wars happened and something very uninteresting in Star Wars.
I don't like to see folks. If you continue this Zeng Wars nonsense, he's become more and more like bitter towards Star Wars. I don't think we
haven't discussed this show at all. On the next episode, we talk about Volume 2 of Clone Wars, and Ellie has very differing opinions from me on it.
The episodes that came out recently, the kind of the last batch before the Bad Batch.
No, we're talking about the original Star. I didn't say the Clone Wars. I said Clone Wars. I made it very clear.
Gotcha.
There's a difference.
I refuse to acknowledge the existence of Zeng Wars other than a cancer on the podcasting society.
Fascinating.
I once fought with your co-host in the Zeng Wars.
Before the dark times. Before the Zeng
was the
Wars.
best crap talker in the galaxy.
No, I think could the Bad Batch use improvement? Yes. But I think overall it's a solid first season. Go watch the first season of the Clone Wars. That is rough. Go watch the first season of Rebels. It is rough.
Do you know what has a perfect first season?
You don't have to say it. Like we know. We know.
Heck yeah.
Dexter. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, like I would say looking through like the 16 episodes of season 1, like Aftermath is good. I would say I mean like genuinely good. 3 Replacements is good. Episode 7 and 8, Battle Scars and Reunion, which is when Rex comes back. 11. You have episode 9 too, Bounty Loss, where Cad Bane, you have his whole thing with Fennec. You have episodes 11, 12, where it's on Ryloth. You have War Mantle and Return to Camino. I'd say outside of like a very lackluster final episode of season 1, overall I would rate this like a solid like 8.5. I think the makings of a good show are here, especially now they can kind of like do their own thing and they've kind of tied up the Clone Wars. I think there's a lot of potential here.
There is. I just wish they would have left off somewhere where they weren't just like it seems like a few episodes before where I guess they've kind of made up with Snipe Shot. But you kind of had the feeling that maybe he'll come with them and that would make you want more of Long Aim's presence with the group, but is he still with the Empire, or it needed a bigger reveal at the end. It needed like and it's like some kind of early Vader or something. It needs some kind of bigger presence. I
But
think a lot of those shows need to end like that.
But this is the kind of weird rut Star Wars has put itself in. Because like just recently, I went back and rewatched the season 2 finale of Rebels, and like God, season 2, like if anybody remembers that, that's one where you have not just Vader, you have Darth Maul show up, you have the Inquisitor fight, Kanan's blinded, Ezra, like Ahsoka, like was temporarily dead for like a couple days. Like a lot goes on at the end of these season finales. And this one, like I said, yes, is it underbaked? But I think that's only because they've kind of spoiled us. Like, think about it. After the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, how does anything not feel underwhelming? I think they knew that going into this, that like the previous Star Wars project, like major, like media wise, was going to be Luke Skywalker. And like, how do you top that moment? Like,
God,
is there
he
any
beats the crap out of Four Eyes.
What are you saying?
Sorry, I'm just watching Scourge beat the living crap out of
Teak. God pronounce. We should have Russ just try. Russ, would you please pronounce every member of the Bad Batch from Omega's? Poor Russ is just like,
these are my friends: Eco, Teak, Rekka, Hunter, and Fish Shooter.
All right, Chris, how would you rate that?
I would rate that an Omega with 5 E's.
Is that good or bad?
Look, it's a gank droid.
Undetermined.
It's either very good or very bad.
Ganky, hurry up! Yeah, I'm losing it now.
Russ's like vocal cords are undergoing the same level of like strain that Zenger does when he does Alex Jones.
Alex Star Jones.
Yes. Does anybody even remember Alex Jones anymore? I feel like he's not even like there anymore. Like
he's becoming like irrelevantly terrible onto himself right now. So I mean,
he's no longer the meme edgelord he once was.
I mean, he's just a meme at this point. Like he's truly just become a meme.
And he becomes sad if you've heard him on or highlights when he was on, because he turns up on Joe Rogan still.
Yeah.
And he talks about that he's drunk all the time and that he's in terrible shape and he's going to die at any second. It's like, wait, aren't you the guy who's just selling these supplements, telling us how healthy you are? Like, I've never felt worse in my life. I'm drunk right now. I'm going to be drunk more. You need to help me, man. He's like, all right. What about the lizard man? Look, I already told you about the lizard man. I need real help.
I mean, all of that is 100% accurate.
Okay, Zenger, I love you and I love Alex Star Jones, but I think Russ might have just done a fantastic job. Like a couple times there, I'm like, does Russ have Alex Jones like in his house and he just hold on to the mic? I'm like, oh man, like is the soundboard really a soundboard? Or is Russ just phenomenal at throwing his voice? That was beautiful, Russ. Beautiful.
I don't disagree. That was amazing.
You should have been doing this more. The whole time I'm thinking, how can I work Jesse Ventura? And look here, Alex Jones. But I could never get it quite right.
But I mean, like you've truly harnessed the pure sadness of a man broken by conspiracy.
Yeah, I know. You get him at his height when he still, before he got completely canceled from everything.
I like to imagine Zenger, someone goes back to some of our early episodes 2 years ago with Alex Star Jones. They're like, who is this supposed to be? They're like, why is Zenger just like chewing on nuts and bolts as he tries to talk?
Oh man. If you have listened to every episode and decide to go back, Zach will send you something as a thank you for that. I don't know what.
I'll send you a baggie of oh yeah, I'll send you my contempt. I'll send you a bundle of Zeng Wars episodes to show you my contempt.
Perfect. I know somebody was working their way through ZengThis' backlog, and I was like, who does this to themselves? I mean, thank you, but why?
Oh my god. Oh god.
One of them. I think they commented on something you said too in one of the tweets they did at me.
Oh.
Because they're like, the guest you had on for this episode, I'm like, what crapping episode is that? And I go check, and I'm like, oh, it was Zach, of course.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that was a ZengThis thing. Yeah, that was a good episode. That was one of the many episodes we did on Far From Home, which Zenger had to rebuy.
Possibly. I don't know. I might have just bought it for the first time. Who cares?
Zenger, like when he's moving like out of his house, like a few, like 5-10 years from now, like finds a copy of Far From Home, like behind the TV, like it's covered like with an inch of dust.
Perfect. Oh, is Horatio Sands canceled yet?
What?
I think that's a Star Wars topic. I didn't really read into it too much.
Oh, that yes, blue guy.
Mithril, our old good friend Mithril, another Star Wars classic new Mandalorian character. He's
and
the accountant.
Definitely not Armor from Lord of the Rings.
No, Horatio Sands, what, of SNL fame and podcasting, right?
No, I meant the whole Mithril. That's Armor from Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
why am I the only person knowing this?
I know it, but I would have never have expected these other guys to know it, so I wouldn't have even said it. But I appreciated it.
You know what?
The foot soldiers of Helm's Deep. This is the Knights of Vader, right?
Yeah, Zanger, get out of here.
Oh my God, we got our perfect. Oh man, side project now. Foot soldiers of Helm's Deep. Recording this Wednesday.
Every week after Zang Wars.
Helm's Deep, never forget.
I don't get any of this.
Wait, seriously?
No, I never watched Lord of the Rings.
What the crap?
Are you saying you've actually never watched it?
No, I watched like an hour and a half of like out of 7 hours of the first movie. I'm like,
so you watched like the introduction to the movie then?
I don't care. Life is too short to waste your time on bad movies.
But you willingly went and watched Bad Batch.
Yes, I enjoyed it. I got the hey, does Lord of the Rings have Scorch from Delta Squad in it?
I mean, it might.
It
does not.
It has a solid amount of hilarious Christopher Lee action.
Let's say this wait, save this for Foot Soldiers of Helm's Deep. What are you guys doing? It's all about getting Zach to watch it and react to it.
I have all those movies, and I have literally zero interest in watching any of them. Literally.
In my opinion, they're the last 3 good films to come out in human history.
Are you saying that before or after the sequel trilogy?
I think he made his point.
What Chris is trying to say is the last good films in Hollywood history are The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. If
Actually,
Chris does not say anything, that is a definitive yes. I'm going to edit all of this out.
I just realized the Achilles heel of my statement, but because obviously the episode 3 came out after Lord of the Rings, so that one's still pretty good. But
jeez,
sorry
Chris
guys,
Porteous.
sorry, it's some of the but the nice thing about them is like when you're talking about Lord of the Rings fans, you're talking about like serious nerds, like almost on a level that like we sort of understand but not quite, and almost none of them were mad about those film adaptations, which is a fascinating thing.
Can't wait to see what happens with the Amazon series. Can't wait to see how they respond to that. Torches and pitchforks.
It's safe because instead of making Legolas like a weird guy who tries to kill his nephew, they're gonna set it like 2,000 years of a different timeline. Like that's as safe as it gets.
All right, Zach, I'm with you. What are these nerds talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, nerds.
Good job,
I gotta
Zach.
fix the soundboard.
Thank you. Oh God! All right. Before we switch away from the Wild Bunch, Mr. Yazzo, any thoughts on season 1 of The Bad Batch?
AKA season 8 of Clone Wars.
Sure, not wrong.
It could have been done in quarter of the time. Like 4 episodes, it would have been a dynamite show. I would agree on an 8 out of 10. But with the 16, it was just a lot of filler. And that's the thing that it bogged everything down. Like you would have some good points, but those good points were overshadowed by just the waiting. And over time, I just found myself, I was like, oh yeah, I can see why they made this episode. That's a cameo for someone that was in Rebels. Or, oh, that was Captain Rex from Clone Wars. Oh, this was this person from that. And the funniest thing is when I sit there and look at my Facebook feed, it sits there and actually tells me all the Easter eggs that I missed. Because, you know, in the last episode, that's supposed to tie up to the Mandalorian because that technician was the same. They were wearing the same outfit as Dr. Pershing in the Mandalorian season 1.
Why and why?
Yeah.
And why? And I'll tell you why. Also, JJ can make up Palpatine's backstory over the weekend. That's why.
Exactly.
Was that
Now
Dr.
I was
Pershing's
sitting
big
there-
sister or something that we
It
met
was
at the end?
Was grandmother
Oh, okay.
on his
Grand
father's
Moff
side.
Pershing. Cool.
On his father's side, twice removed from his mother. That was also a clone, voiced by Deep Fried.
I think you're being too generous. Even though, how much time is there between this and Mandalorian? Like 20 years or something, right? Like something like that.
Oh God, it's more than that. Like it's what 19, it's 25 years.
Okay, so yeah, it's not gonna be Dr. Pershing's grandma. Like I would bet that Dr. Pershing
Grandma
himself, him looking identical to how he does in The Mandalorian, but animated, will appear next season. Because time is not a thing anymore in Star Wars canon.
And why is the Camino thing anymore if they blew it all up?
Because they're just implying that they like exported all of their cloning knowledge. That's before blowing it up.
It's Project Paperclip.
And and all of the clones too. They took all the clones off the planet, so they could do War Mantle. And
Yeah,
have
because it
them
was
train
they
those.
yeah.
troopers.
They knew it'd be too dark to show like little clone fetuses in all those tubes while the planet got shot to pieces.
God.
All those clone fetuses, like it's one of those like images like on the side. It's like all these clone fetuses would grow up to be pickled Snokes.
Oh,
Do you think
gotta see that big crocodile thing just come and just a whole bunch of fetuses are floating in the water and it's wow, perfect all up at once.
Oh God! What a
And he goes,
horrible
"There's
image
always
of
a bigger fish," and he winks.
Nothing is wasted on Camino, but I wanted to see one of those, like when they see, like there was a really perfect missed moment there when they're sort of looking at the it's like the next morning and they're looking at like the wreckage. Like it would have been great to see like some Caminoans from like the village over, like flying around with their like Loch Ness monster pterodactyls that you see briefly in episode 2. Like where were those guys at? And like the other thing I was wondering is, I think it's not clear. I think one line from stock Imperial General in the series, he sort of
Rampart.
yeah, he sort of I think he has a line where he implies that they were like shooting at like other cities other than what's the city called? Topeka
City.
Yeah,
Topeka.
I think he says one thing where they imply they're shooting at like other stuff, but it's like,
So just get bored.
well, here's the thing, right? Like the Kaminoans, like there was literally 3 of them on that facility that you ever saw. You can't have a super advanced cloning facility like if that's the entire like infrastructure of your planet, right? So like there's obviously like there's got to be like regular Kaminoan cities on the planet, and like I don't know if they're trying to purposely just not talk about it, or like whether they're implying that like all of them were killed pretty much. Like what are they like? That can't be the whole.
I like
Wait.
Chris. I would love to imagine that, like, I don't know, like 40 years before the events of the Clone Wars, there's like 2 Kaminoans, and they're like, one of them's like, I'm gonna go into cloning, and the other one's like, I'm going into cosmetics, and like we find out that it's like Tom Wee and like, oh God, Nala Se, and they're like, yeah, that jerk's never gonna amount to anything being cosmetics. Like, cut to 33 years later, and he sees like the orbital bombardment. It's like, man, sure glad that isn't our floating platform.
This entire planet is 3 platforms. Like Rick Lee giving a tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, you gotta like it showed them with their like weird like dinosaurs that they're riding. Like, you know, it's hard not to imagine a like primitive subset of the Kaminoan population that just like does a bunch of hippie nonsense, like riding space dinosaurs, and like they're not really that into the cloning stuff. Like they're out there like.
They're saving those flying dinosaurs for High Republic, because isn't there like main art of High Republic where there's a Jedi riding a flying dinosaur? I know there is. I'm looking at it right now on Star Wars.
Okay, well,
If you remember, hey, going back like a year and a half ago, you remember from our High Republic episode on the infamous dry erase board, there was a thing that just said dinosaurs on it. I'm not sure if Zenger remembers that.
Oh, I remember.
I
I'm
remember
waiting
now.
for it still.
Oh, it's
Wait
there.
for
There's
it.
a Jedi flying something that's got like 4 wings. It's definitely a dinosaur.
Fascinating.
Good to see that dry erase board from
Paid off.
a year and a half ago paid off finally.
I thought
We
they
laughed at
just
that a lot.
I thought they just settled on dragons because they had one on the book of the like Legends of Luke Skywalker thing, right? There was like a pretty stereotypical dragon on that, wasn't there?
Is there?
No, maybe it's not that one. Maybe it's like, did they have like another like anthology storybook?
It's like Missing
one of them,
Fables. Missing Fables, yeah.
yeah, one of them has like a straight up like Arthurian dragon on the front, and it's like not very Star Warsy in design per se.
Yeah, that's the case. All right. Anything else about the Wild Bunch season 1? Are we ready to move on to Chris Porteous buys a toy off the internet?
The
Equally
best part,
compelling.
the toy talk. I can't wait. I was so mad I couldn't hear the or be part of the toy stuff last time. Chris, that you've been building this up, this bootleg, gigantic, metal covered Razor Crest finally came in the mail to the only Chris Porteous in all of Canada.
All right, so yeah, so it's made by this guy who goes by Has No Talent on Instagram. I don't know how many there are. I don't know how he makes them. I talked to some other guys who make this stuff, and they don't understand how he can even get this stuff done in a factory with low numbers like this. Like, who knows? He's got some awesome connections or something, whatever. So I opened it up today. It's advertised as a kit for one, so like, you know, it's if I had to compare the size, like Zach, you know, it's a little bit longer than a Republic gunship, a little bit girthier. It's comparable in size to a Republic gunship, but like
Wait. Are
less
we
empty
talking
space.
Lego
No, Hasbro.
Republic gunship? Because we can get into this.
Well, I think
Talking
the Hasbro
Has No Talent. Hold on.
Yeah, well, I think the Hasbro Republic gunship is probably comparable in size to the new like UCS Lego one.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Despite the fact that the figures are like 1/3 the height, but the gunship itself is probably about the same size. But yeah, so you know, it's within the ballpark of like that big. Like it's advertised as a kit. It doesn't snap together. Like, I think the intention is that you glue it. I haven't noticed any instructions in the box, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So it's all sort of in parts, like, because the way it's painted, it had to be done all separately. I would definitely give the pack. I was super impressed by the packing job. I would give that like 10 out of 10. Like, I was not expecting that from a guy who's like running his own operation. Like every part was like triple wrapped with bubble wrap, and there was like an interior box that had like 2 inches of padding around that, and then an exterior box which showed up really smashed up. So like I'm glad it was set up that way. But yeah, like I don't know, it looks pretty awesome. I haven't started gluing it together. I'm like, that's if it would hold together decently without that, I probably wouldn't do it, but it's kind of essential, or like the engines basically just slide right off.
Well, Zenger, you don't need glue for the Lego, huh? You know, what's going on with this?
What, the Legos?
I was about to say, I know you're a Lego guy. I guess that's one in your corner, because you don't have to, you know, get all sticky putting the Lego together, right?
I mean, unless I want to make sure it stays together, I don't have to use Jack. I'm saying that there's a probe droid sitting beside me that's been smashed, re-put together, and now I'm just gonna put it together because Ellie ain't doing it fast enough, and I'm tired of it clogging up my office.
Geez, Ellie.
I know, she needs to get it together, so I'm just gonna do it myself, move it down with our other Lego displays for Star Wars stuff, and find the. Oh, by the way, the Seinfeld set is guaranteed for me. I just do not know when Lego's going to actually ship it, but that will be going in the office while the probe droid will make its way downstairs to our Star Wars Lego display.
That's an official set, that the Seinfeld set.
Yeah,
I got mine. I'm putting it together right now.
That's amazing.
I ordered mine and it has not come in yet.
It took a while. Like, I ordered mine the day of, and it took almost like over a week for it to ship.
Yeah, Ellie ordered a ton of stuff too, and it just got in. So,
Jeez, Ellie.
Do they rename Kramer like Fire Spray or Fire Pan or something?
I mean, I'm not
Next
saying
door
they
neighbor,
don't.
number 5.
Better yet, is he even included at all?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
They didn't sub him out with a Newman or something like that.
No, that you get Newman, which I find weird.
You do get Newman. You get a bunch of stuff. Like there's some really fun accessories. Like there's the Festivus pole. There's the pretzel from These Pretzels Are Making Me Thirsty. The coffee table book, Fusilli, Jerry. Oh God, Zenger. The list just keeps going on and on. Like the little baggie with the goldfish in it that Lane has.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some pretty fun ones.
Oh no, I'm excited for it. Like I said, you scare tactics me into getting it, so
I'm glad I did.
I got it.
So Chris, about that ship that you got.
Yes.
Does it look like it fits? What size figures does it fit?
It's like, I'm guessing it's pretty. It's like, if looking at it now, I bet you it's like 10 to 15% smaller than the HasLab one. It's got 2 chairs in the cockpit. It definitely fits 3 3/4. I think the idea behind the design was that it's a little more sort of Kenner styled than like being as super realistic as the HasLab one. But like it's definitely big enough to like put a bunch of 3 3/4 figures in it.
Let's put it this way. Chris has a lot of Queels on order right now to fill this ship out. A few Ewoks, some Jawas.
Already got them. Yep. Good.
The Queel mobile now.
Now
Yeah.
everything in there is chromed out.
Everything, the whole inside, all the parts. It's ridiculous looking.
Did it come on plastic trees like a model kit, or was it all separate?
It was all separate. You could see where they broke off the pieces, but like, so there's like a couple spots that like don't have the chrome paint, but like, I mean, like when you consider this is like the scale of this operation, like I knew what I was getting into, right? Like it was expensive, and what you're essentially doing is like, it's almost like a giant. It's better than this, but like the analogy would be like when you go to like a dollar store and they have like giant toys that are like $3. It's like if a madman took control of a factory that makes that kind of stuff and like just did whatever he wanted, but you had to like pay way more for it because like you were like, it's just like the quality is not like Hasbro standard for sure, but like it's just because it's literally like a crazy person doing whatever they wanted to, and like it's great in that regard. Like I was talking to a guy who ordered it one from the same batch that I got, and he got like being in Georgia, like not in a different country, he got his like only like 1 day ahead of me really, and but he was telling me like, oh, it's a fingerprint magnet, like you gotta like the paint will fleck off if you like touch it the wrong way, and like he was talking about like make sure you get white cotton gloves. Like it's nothing says like Star Wars toy nerd like handling it with white cotton gloves. Like that's pretty serious stuff. But like I followed the instructions, and like I probably have less paint flecking and fingerprints than he did initially. But like I am not disappointed, and I will definitely share some images once I've got it all set up.
Just be careful with the glue, because if it is painted on chrome and it's not chrome plated, that stuff the glue will eat it off.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely like
sand down the pieces that you're gonna join.
There's that, and I noticed on some of the parts, it actually like a few of the connecting parts do not have the chrome paint on them. So like yeah, so that's a good point. But no one listening probably has one of these, but like it's like it's the most ridiculous thing ever, and like you have to like hassle the guy on Instagram like aggressively to get one. But like,
Disney's taking notes, going, all right, we said the guy's Instagram. Okay, well, fine.
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
thanks.
No, I mean,
we'll get
like,
our hands on one. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's awesome. Like, the guy does a lot of stuff. Like, he does like a lot of like Kenner style Mandalorian figures that like were not done in the retro collection. Like, he has some like dark troopers that are like black chrome that look really awesome. But at this, it's kind of like the Heart of the Jedi novel that unlicensedly leaked on Amazon. Like, like a few months back. Like, bottom line is, I already have mine, so like it's totally fine if he gets hilariously shut down at this point, right? Like,
Chris is like, I got mine. I don't care what happens to the rest of you nerds. If you get $10,000,
Chris
you
is-
get shut.
Chris is turning him in to get some value. He's like
Yeah.
pulling up the ladder. All right, later, guys.
like Slave One got renamed, like the Chrome the Chrome Razor Crest got shut down. Like, you can't buy that book anymore. Things are looking up.
He's like, Disney. He calls it the Slave 2. It's written on the box. He just writes it on there.
Yeah, he actually calls it the Mudhorn 1, and the one weird thing about it design wise is like that sort of like the Mudhorn insignia is like appears on the hull of this ship no less than 10 times. Like, it's kind of excessive. Like, it's every little like corner of the cockpit and on the doors have the like Mudhorn insignia, which I thought was kind of weird.
Ninja Jaren, he was so proud of his new insignia. He was just tagging it everywhere. He had a stencil made.
Yeah, like it's 3D all over the place because there's no paint other than the chrome. So like it's weird. It's just like in the cockpit and on all the doors.
Gonna throw one little Grogu face in there. Baby whiskey, whatever he calls him. Happy birthday, Rob.
Baby whiskey.
Baby whiskey.
Yeah, he's probably not listening, but that's not.
But pull it back in with that.
Yeah, I mean, like you know, but speaking of Ben Affleck's birthday, like I did listen to that last episode of Cinemoddities, and like, you know, it was good of him to sort of find like the weirdest, darkest corner of Ben Affleck's cinematic history and spotlight something he made in like film school. Like, I appreciated that. It sounded kind of interesting.
What?
I said what? Phantoms?
He was the bomb in that. Come on.
I know. Exactly.
What, you want to tell everybody what the name of the Ben Affleck's student film was, Chris?
Oh, I could take a crack at it, but like I don't think I'll nail it. But it's something like
Let me say it just to make.
Can you even say it?
Dazed and confused is what it's called.
Oh my God. God, now I have to wonder if I can even say it on the podcast. The title of Ben Affleck's student film is I Killed My Lesbian Wife, Hung Her on a Meat Hook, and Now I Have a 3-Picture Deal at Disney.
Wow.
So
it's a weird prequel to Chasing Amy.
Which and which part of that title do you think Ben Affleck regrets most? Like the killed lesbian wife part, or the putting Disney's name in there?
I would imagine probably a little bit of all the above. I would imagine there's no part of that he doesn't regret, as he's dating J-Lo again.
Yeah, congratulations. Happy
the sum
birthday.
of all fears.
We're going right back to Gigli.
I'm just going to start naming movies he's worked on to describe situations he's put himself in.
The Voyage of the Mimi.
Argo.
See, none of these are working. You gotta have somebody else say something and you respond with it.
He did do, what was it, a PSA for high schoolers about steroid abuse when he was younger.
Did he?
Yes, he did. You could look it up. He goes through like roid rage. It's very jarring.
I think I have an idea of what Ben Affleck's birthday is going to be for 2022.
I've seen it. C-3PO walks in on him and he is doing steroids and he's like, "Good Lord, Ben Affleck, what are you?" Just like when
It's
R2
your birthday,
was smoking.
isn't it? It's your birthday, isn't it, Ben Affleck?
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. So, Chris, I have to ask, with this Mudhorn 1, are you going to try to like paint it? Like are you going to like prime it and paint it in like Mandalorian Razor Crest colors? Or are you just going to leave it as like this shiny uniqueness that it is?
Or are you going to drop our giant rock on it to make it screen accurate?
That's what we do with the Lego we have.
Technically, he should just vaporize it, Ross. He should just like.
It's a flaming rock that you throw at it. So it's the charring effect too.
Well, you know, like I think I said it on the last episode too, but it would probably, like, you can't prime it, like that would just be a waste of the paint job, but like it would probably look good if you did like a black wash technique on it where you get just like something a little bit of black in like all the grooves so you can like really like see the shape of it better. But you know, like I'm gonna have like the insane collector in me is gonna have a lot of trouble even adding glue to this thing. So like I don't think I'm gonna paint it because it's preposterous looking as it is. Like just even adding glue to it is like it's like, oh, I'm permanently altering it. I don't know about this. You know what I mean? It's traumatic as it is. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna paint it.
So it would be the last thing he wanted.
Yeah,
What, for it to not be built?
Yeah, like I'm already getting real antsy. Like I opened it up and like have all the parts loose now from the original packaging. Like it's extreme, right? So
you're just angling to trade someone for the actual one.
No, but there is a guy on eBay who's like, I looked this up just to see, because when I found out about this, there weren't any, like the guy didn't have any available. Because like he just says on Instagram, I got 4 first people to claim it. It's theirs. Like, so when I was first looking into it, he didn't have any. So I just checked eBay just to see. And there was one guy who had it like as sent to him unassembled. He was trying to get like $1,200 for it. And it's like, you know, if you're out there, like definitely don't do that. Because that guy's he's gonna post more of them, and it's less than half that much. So you should probably not do that.
How much does this cost you? You disclose it, or you give?
It was like it's 25%, 20 to 25% cheaper than a HasLab Razor Crest, regardless of what country you're in.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like this person's playing reindeer games with you.
I already have it though, so it's good. Like, can you believe that service, man? Like, it was packed beautifully. Like, I got it like a week after ordering it or less. Like, that's amazing. Like, this guy, whatever he's doing, like, I'm not surprised he's popular. Like, sure, he'll probably get shut down imminently, and like, that's a real shame for everyone else who won't be able to get one of these.
So you're saying this person's going all the way?
I think he's a real daredevil for making this product.
They're just quickly scouring IMDb, trying to figure out the perfect retort to this.
I mean, it'd be smoking aces if I was. Oh!
Oh, God, I hate this podcast. Okay, yeah. Like I said,
Suicide Squad.
He was in that?
Yes.
Batman. Oh, yeah, he was Batman.
Oh, yeah, he was in that. Oh, God. I forgot about that.
Which one are you talking about? The one that was called Suicide Squad, or the one that is now called Suicide Squad?
No, the new one's called The Suicide Squad, I think.
That should be illegal.
Oh, yeah, because Star Wars has never done that with anything called Clone Wars and The Clone Wars.
Oh, come on, Chris. You're forgetting the films. You have Star Wars and you have The Star Wars. That's what the reboot
Bad Batch and the regular Bad Batch that we all, you know.
That'll be the reboot when Disney eventually like realizes like they've kind of like run the treads on the Star Wars tire down to their nubs. Like we'll get a reboot like in 2085 called The Star Wars. It'll be just in time for the 109th anniversary.
The new one is called The Suicide Squad.
Honestly, I think it's going to be sooner than that. The Star Wars, and that's when finally all the old guys have shuffled off to join the Force, and they can finally do it without a lot of backlash.
Delightful. On a note from last week's episode, Chris, I finally decided on a Hot Toy Star Wars figure. I got, drumroll please,
Ray.
Yes, I figured Russ would guess that. Adding it to the Mary Suzanne collection. My very small scale Mary Suzanne.
Well, after buying that, it was Gone Girl.
Shut up. Go back to your Zeng Wars.
Yeah, you can talk about Gonk Girl.
Well, I mean, if I do that, that would be the last thing he wanted. He being you. Also, another movie by Ben Affleck.
Boo. One thing I did, Russ, I think, did you find that Dark Ray like Hasbro figure yet, or like Dark Side Ray?
Yeah, I do. I have the Black Series one for sure.
Cool. Because I see that like Sideshow Collectibles has like a bust of like Dark Side Ray, and I'm like, oh man, like Mary Suzanne, Russ. I wonder if Russ ever found like the Hasbro version. I know, it's really cool looking. Like part of me now is just kind of like in Rise of Skywalker, like collecting mode. I'm just like, I have to preserve all this stuff. because I have a feeling Disney's never going to make any more merchandise for it. So I just have to be like, oh God, like every time I walk by like the Lego aisle and I see like Kylo Ren shuttle, I'm like, it wasn't in the movie, but it has Rise of Skywalker packaging on it. So I must protect it.
It's the episode 2 marketing campaign of Star Wars once again, where and it came and went so quickly. I found they had like some Rey sanitary wipes that I found kind of recently. And I was like, oh, I gotta get. They were like definitely made post COVID-19 world, and for some reason they put Rey on some wipes, and yes, a couple of those in the museum.
Oh man, that's really your Field of Dreams.
That's the second best Star Wars COVID-related collectible after the toxic Baby Yoda hand sanitizer.
Oh God, I remember at work we had those for a while, and then once I found out they were made of like carcinogenic like materials, we didn't have any more of them. Like, God darn it!
I was like, now I want them. Yeah,
I know. Now that I can get cancer from them, now they're collectible.
Just like the old Burger King glasses.
Oh God, yeah. I still have my my Shrek 2 or Shrek 4 glass with Donkey on it that has cancer paint.
You know, you guys are, I don't know why, just talking about these weird Star Wars items, just inspired for a new Disney Plus show. It should be called Survivor Star Wars. And you have to see how long you can survive just on products that are officially licensed Star Wars products. I'm talking food, clothing, tent, or whatever you're going to live in. Everything has to be Star Wars. And you got to find a good food source first.
Well, I mean, the dogma of that situation would be really hard for Disney to deal with all the paychecks they'd have to hand out.
This guy's been eating 40-year-old C-3POs trying to win this thing.
I mean, you're really chasing Amy at that point to win this competition.
You'd be dazed and confused. Yes, we know, Zenger.
I hate you, Zenger.
I mean, you're going to be glory days, too, if you do win. Oh, yeah. For going all
If you win, yes.
Oh God! Remember, folks, he's got to do every film in Ben Affleck's filmography, or else it doesn't count. He's got to fit Gigli into this somehow. He's got to use that as a noun or verb.
Well, I mean, this whole episode's turning into a Pearl Harbor of changing lanes.
Oh God, Zenger. Yes, Hot Toys. Ray. Looking forward to it. Supposed to get here sometime this week.
I'm looking for the new Hot Toys with Gigli in it. Gigli hot toy.
Oh my God, I'd buy that in an instant. Oh my God, crowdfund Hot Toys Ben Affleck Gigli, Hot Toys Jennifer Lopez. How many of you have actually seen Gigli?
I have not seen Gigli.
Dead silence. Dead silence needs to be the response to that, because you know what? That movie's just, he's not that into you.
He was in that?
Yes.
Oh my God! God, Ben Affleck.
Did you miss me saying Field of Dreams earlier? Because apparently he's in that.
I want
as a course a baseball fan at Fenway. Because God forbid anyone goes 5 seconds with Ben Affleck not mentioning he's from Boston.
Zenger, please fit in Zack Snyder's Justice League into this.
I don't know how I'm going to fit that in. That's the one I'm trying to work on, because I'm just trying to surviving Christmas over here.
Zenger has me praying for Armageddon.
Oh no, not you too. Oh no.
Zach, you better get a hold of the Knights of Vader, the accountant, because it's going to be a Dawn of Justice soon.
Oh my God, this podcast. I somewhere, like, if Rob actually ever does listen to this, which he probably won't, he would eat this up, because are any of you aware of the fact that in the Tron episode of Cinemoddities, him and Ben go like on a 20-minute dissertation, like adding like thinking all the words that have the word, like either there's like a prefix or suffix of Tron in it, and they just kept going back and forth. Like, no, but your heart's in the right place. But yes, this is very similar to that. And if Rob were here, Rob would be losing his mind right now.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think I got the premise of this. Zack Snyder's Justice League Tron.
No. But thanks for playing.
It started to sound like that by the end of it, to be fair, but yeah, they started out a little sharper.
Yes, and they get duller over time, just like Knights of Vader.
Zach, if you were trying to get this back, just remember Star Wars is all about Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, who are in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, one of our favorites.
By Kevin Smith, who's making Clerks 3.
He was making a Ben
Allegedly.
Affleck movie reference. If you guys missed that,
Him and Matt
I
Damon were in that movie.
got it. Actually, fun fact, in that movie, Ben Affleck plays two characters, one of them being himself.
What does this episode become? This is what happens, folks, and there isn't a firm structure to Knights of Vader.
Once again, this episode is becoming Zach's sum of all fears.
Yes.
We didn't even talk
That
about
won't
that
work.
article, that homework you made us do, because you told us
Yeah,
it
can
was
we
Ben Affleck's
please talk
birthday,
about
then you
that?
sent us an article.
Now I feel bad because like we're actually talking about something like substantive, and like it's like probably in the last 20 minutes of the episode.
Oh, I
Well, we
thought
need
you were
to
cutting
curb
out
our-
the last
curb
15
our
minutes of this, so I
enthusiasm.
thought we could just roll right to it.
Oh god, I hate editing. Editing used to be nice when we were very straight, like streamlined with things.
Well, be
All right,
the company man and get us to that conversation.
no, I'm gonna mute you on the Skype call. It's coming to that. Go record your Zang Wars episode.
And
That was
we
the
already
best
did
one
it
yet.
today.
Oh my god! All right, one final like collecting question for Chris. Chris, have you? Because it's like getting like a nice release in Canada. Have you? In tying it into the Bad Batch. Have you seen that Captain Rex like Bad Batch figure yet in your like neck of the woods?
I saw it today actually at a toy show, and I saw an Echo. The
Pronounce
Rex
it correctly.
Eco. The Rex looks like, I don't know. I have the earlier Rex. Like I kind of like that better. I obviously there was like a 30% upcharge on it being at a toy show, so that's part of why I didn't get it. Also because I already have the other one, which I think is better.
I was just more curious if you actually found it at retail, not a toy show. Like, this is more of a distribution question as opposed to like a like, did you buy it question.
If I was trying, I probably could have. I've seen a lot of like the new vintage collection stuff, especially. I've seen a lot of that at retail, and Toys R Us did get that Clone Wars Wave of Black series. So like I don't know if that was an exclusive anywhere. I haven't been following it well enough, but EB Games, which rest in peace, they're rebranding it GameStop just like what you guys have. So like we're losing that classic EB name anytime now, which is like, you know, for a company that's like struggling to justify its continued existence, spending millions of dollars changing signs is probably a good idea. Come
on, Chris. We know kids don't like electronic boutique.
No one knows
what boutique is.
The true meaning of the EB has melted into the ether, and like only a few people still remember what it was, I suppose.
I remember EB Games was still around as of like 15 years ago, so it's not that antiquated.
Yeah.
Actually, it was around until about 2006, 2007.
Yeah, so like it's not that ancient. I remember going to an EB Games. Last time I remember going one was like 2004.
I remember going to one as like in 2008, 2009.
Zenger's like, I worked at an EB Games.
Yeah, I worked at a GameStop, but we did have a few EB Games that were still called EB Games. Everything inside that was GameStop. It's just they hadn't changed it out yet because like we had a mall that had an EB Games on one end and a GameStop on the other, and they were in there forever. We also had one where it was an EB Games, and then literally across the street, another shopping center was a GameStop, and that one just closed this year. But they did, after a certain point, they did rename them all to GameStop.
I think Babbage's is just lying in wait.
God dang,
the whole thing.
Best name ever. Babbage's and what was the other one? Funkoland? Was it Funkoland?
That's a real thing.
I know it is, but that would be Funkoland was always fun to like say I'm going to go to Funkoland.
That's pretty great now that you say it.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Mr. Yazzo, any comments, questions, concerns, or snide remarks on EB Games?
EB Games was awesome, even before it was GameStop. I think up where I am, it phased out because the store went through a remodel. That's where they got their GameStop sign.
Yep, that'll do it.
Yeah, I remember going there like around 2000, and when it was like the one I had locally like had like the full, like the sign was like the old sign where it like fully spelled out electronics boutique, and like they would get like you know like a lot of weird like imported stuff. Like they would have like like Japanese Pokemon cards, like of characters that wouldn't come out in North America for like months, and just like it used to have unique and interesting stuff, whereas now it is literally just GameStop. So like it's not the end of the world that they're changing the name, but we tend you're not wrong, we tend to have pretty good distribution up here for all that stuff. Like any of the new vintage collection stuff, for example, I've been able to find that easily. I got that for those of you who pay attention in the Facebook group for Knights of Vader, you probably saw it. I got the Purge Trooper. That's a nice new vintage collection from the Gaming Greats line.
Have you come across the Maul and Ahsoka from Clone Wars season 7 yet?
No, because I don't know for you guys, but I think that was it a Walmart exclusive here? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think it was.
That's like a fan channel. No, I think it's just a wide release in the States.
I'm pretty sure it was like either a Walmart or Amazon exclusive here, and it was never at retail, as far as I know.
Gotcha. Oh, boy. All right, on to the article, the substantive thing in this discussion, 95 minutes in. All right, there is an article, or technically it's a YouTube video, another one of my favorite punching bags on Knights of Vader from Midnight's Edge, titled Behind ScarJo's Black Widow Lawsuit, The Secret War Behind the Scenes at Marvel and Disney. Out of all of us, I think you can all, the listener, know which of us did the required reading and which one of us is kind of, once again, scribbling as the teacher goes around the classroom. I'm trying to figure out how I can give this in the most bite-sized form possible. What this video pretends that it's the notion that everyone's probably heard about Scarlett. Does anyone here not know about Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit with Disney?
I was aware of it, and it's all about, doesn't it come down to points? Points are things that actors get a little extra money on working on a film, and the fact that they released it streaming and in theaters. And when you get points for something, it's only for a theatrical release that you're getting extra for, correct?
Yes, that is the thing. By releasing it day and date on a streaming service, ScarJo is claiming that she was denied an X amount of money by rushing it to streaming, and that something, if it was released just theatrically, she would have gotten more out of it. And Disney is being very staunch in their rebuttal of this, being like it wasn't in your contract, honey. So adios. But what makes this kind of fascinating, beyond even just what the article will get at, is the fact that Scarlett Johansson's agent is Billy Lord's father, aka Carrie Fisher's, oh God, I don't know if they were married at one point, but that is who Scarlett Johansson's agent is.
Okay, so Billy Lord's dad is representing her. Is he also, and others have come forward too, the Wonder Woman is also gonna, is that it? Or I know this is somehow spreading to where a lot of people are jumping on to want to sue for streaming things.
It was the only other person is Emma Stone for Cruella, and that apparently behind the scenes talk was she was kind of figuring out if it was worth it burning her bridge with Disney. And just in the last couple of days, Disney announced they're going ahead with the Cruella sequel featuring Emma Stone, so that kind of puts that issue to bed. And somebody also asked The Rock pertaining to Jungle Cruise.
This is the best response ever.
And The Rock's just I ain't got time to sue. As he broke a cast and picked up a minigun and started shooting a helicopter out of the sky. Or you can ask Zenger what the real response is.
Oh, it's basically, I'm pretty sure he was lifting weights at the time and was like, do I look stupid? I mean, why would you blowtorch a bridge like that? Disney, if you get blacklisted by Disney, you get blacklisted in so many other things.
Well, Zenger, I'm glad, Zenger, that you brought this up, because this is the entire focal point of the video.
Exactly, because I actually watched it until I got disinterested and went back to watching Bad Batch.
Oh my God, Zenger, you're killing me, Zenger, you're killing me.
What? I couldn't take the human robot that is this podcast. I mean, that is that YouTube channel.
Yeah, I thought it was an actual robot, and I learned. I think this is a guy.
I'm just saying, if I had Squarespace, I could create my own thing to just purely waste 5 minutes of my goddamn time listening to a Squarespace ad that was read verbatim by a human robot.
Is that a contradiction?
Very much so.
Don't forget caring help or whatever else took up the first 5 minutes of that. Yeah, there was a weird just integrated ad where I was like, how do I not skip this? I'm like, no, this is the video. But that aside,
was it Squarespace? I swore it was Squarespace.
But isn't the whole point of this that there are some kind of machinations going on where they think that whoever's representing ScarJo is doing this to go after current head of Disney to get Bob Iger back in there? Isn't this the conspiracy that is being?
Yeah, well, that's a conclusion they come to. The thesis overall is that heads of the studios at Disney, whether it be Lucasfilm, Marvel, Pixar, the animation, they are very unhappy with what Bob Chapek is doing, the current CEO of Disney, in that apparently, because Bob Chapek's history in the company, before this, he was in charge of parks and resorts, and before this, he was like a consumer products person, very much into merchandising. And the story apparently is from like a bunch of articles in the trades, I think it's Variety, who claim that Bob Chapek is like every time like one of the studios wants to create like a film or a new like property or just anything, they have to like run it through like the distribution people and the consumer products people. And that's like driving the studio heads nuts because it's coming down to like kind of like what I've always been saying, that like, oh, unless you have some sort of like concrete backing to this, and that like, oh, if this isn't going to like help the streaming service or it's not going to do well theatrically, we're not going to greenlight it. Or like, oh, the merchandise will not support this sort of enterprise, so we are not going to fund it. So you're not going to get as many arbitrary releases as you once did at Disney. Like, you're not just going to get like, oh, like we're making an Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. Well, like the first Ant-Man movie really didn't make a lot of money. Like, we're not going to pour that sort of money into it. We don't care. We're just making another one because Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like in the video, they make a big point of saying things like Marvel's like Shang-Chi and the Eternals would not have been greenlit under this current like management style because there's no like numbers and there's no reason to believe that these properties will excel. It's just like a studio head doing what they think is right. And the thing that's interesting about this and what the Midnight's Edge people who are very much on the not my Star Wars train is that like, once again, it's weird that they like in every single video of theirs, Kathleen Kennedy is saying, because even in this, she gets her kind of little blurb where we see her kind of wearing devil horns and having the little pitchfork and doing her Homer Simpson moment of, I am the devil. I am the devil. Like claiming that like, oh, like Kevin Feige knows what he's doing, but Kathleen Kennedy doesn't because she's evil. But the point being is that like this, like they're claiming that Bob Iger let the studio heads do whatever they want and he did not meddle in any of their plans, which we know isn't true because Bob Iger's the one that like when J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy wanted to delay the release of The Force Awakens to May of 2016, he refused to let them do that. He's also the one that kind of forced them into doing like The Last Jedi and Solo back to back. And it wasn't until after Solo's release that Bob Iger like publicly stated like, yeah, I kind of pushed Star Wars a little too hard and I've told him to kind of like dial it back a little bit. So there's some stuff in this that's kind of, I like, it doesn't line up exactly as to how they're presenting it. But the thing that makes sense to me is the notion of like I said, I think last week in the last few episodes of Knights of Vader, and that like there's been a certain level of quietness in the like Star Wars Lucasfilm like gossip realm, because I think everything that they do now has to be like greenlit by different departments within the company, not just Lucasfilm. That's why you're getting such projects being signed off on, like is the Book of Boba Fett. Like the Book of Boba Fett is a project that was signed off on during the Bob Chapek era. And to me, that makes perfect sense based on the thesis that this video gives. Because think about it, Boba Fett's one of the top-selling Star Wars merchandise characters of all time. That is a prime character for like a distribution and a merchandisable story / character. And I think that's why you're going to see a lot of projects that were announced like in the tail end of the Bob Iger reign are going to kind of just disappear. Like bringing this back to Scarlett Johansson, apparently there was some like Tower of Terror movie in the works with her that's apparently been possibly scuttled because of this lawsuit. The overall point of the article, which I think is interesting and how this ties to Star Wars being, is that everything that the Walt Disney Company puts out has to be signed off on by distribution and consumer products, which weirdly enough, the video says is a good thing because it's like, oh, if like considering how, tied to the public distribution and consumer products are, you're really not going to get a lot of arbitrary things anymore. You're only going to get properties kind of steeped in some level of just like consumer excitement.
Popularity. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one weird example they give, though, is they contend that if Gina Carano would not have been fired because her figure is in such demand, and which I thought was a very weird connection to make, because it's like, well, those figures are in demand because you guys did fire her. It wasn't the other way around. People weren't clamoring for Cara Dune stuff. I mean, I might have been, but I don't think the general public was. It was just a weird point they made in there about her.
Yeah,
I think they can figure that out on their own, by the way. They might not see that there's a correlation, which, once again, worries me.
Yes, that's when they kind of put the cart before the horse.
It seems like a pitchman zinger thing. Wow, these Gina Carano figures are through the roof right now. Maybe we should get her back.
I'm the perfect example of that. Like, I'm so ignorant. Like, literally, that was my least favorite character of Mandalorian season 1. Once they fired her, like, I wanted all of them, and I now have
them all.
of them.
Yes, you do.
Oh, Chris, you bandwagoner, you.
Like, yesterday, I got the carbonized vintage collection, the last one I needed.
Ooh, the shiny one.
Exactly.
Oh, geez. But no, I yes, in that instance, they're kind of putting the cart before the horse. But I think like this makes sense to me as someone who's a student of the Walt Disney Company, especially Bob Chapek, and he is somebody. If you look, because I remember when he got promoted to like head of parks and resorts, like a lot of the theme park people were like, the fans were like, oh God. But this is like one of my favorite Disney anecdotes. And this is where I kind of like where this is trending. I'm sorry, anecdote, whatever. I'm sorry, I said antidote. My bad. There's a C in there. This was like one of my favorite Disney stories. Was back when, if anyone remembers, like OG Epcot Center, there was Journey into Imagination, and there was a character Figment that had the Dream Finder, yada yada yada. In like the late '90s, they changed the ride and they got rid of the Figment character and they made it into like Journey into Your Imagination. And if anybody knows their Disney parks like history, is like you have all these different, like, it's weird. The theme parks are a very interesting microcosm of the overall Walt Disney Company, because you have all these different like factions that have like a stake in the pie of getting those parks to work, yet they're always kind of at odds with each other. Because like you'll have like Disney Imagineering, whose job it is to design the rides, and then like once they design the rides, it's up to like operations of the individual park to then handle everything from there. But then you'll also have like, oh God, the branch within the theme parks whose job it is to sell the merchandise. And so getting back to Journey into Imagination and the Figment character, when they got rid of the Figment character, the people who were in charge of like merchandise at the theme parks like were pulling their hair out because they did like $500,000 a year just in Figment plush. And so that automatically put them into like a hole that deep because they phased out a character. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, Imagineering just made a decision without consulting other branches within that subset of the company as to how it would affect them. And that's where you'll see things like, if you go over your history of the Walt Disney Company, like something like John Carter, like the reason why, one of the many reasons why Disney abandoned John Carter in early 2012 was that, like, in obviously Chris being the merchandising expert here can definitely back me up on this, was that like, when these movies are in production, they show a bunch of like the concept art, promotional like things that have been created to the license partners. And if the license partners are not like feeling this, or like, yeah, I don't think this is going to sell, just based on like how things look, you will see very little merchandise of something, which then tells Disney as the film is in production or maybe in post-production, oh, this is not, it's one of the first like litmus tests, if a film is going to be successful or not. And that, and John Carter being one of the most pronounced examples of all this, in that like, oh, the license partners really want nothing to do with John Carter. So Disney in response did not spend a lot of marketing dollars of it. And then which the film didn't really get a lot of like notoriety, and then it dies at the box office. So it's this weird sort of just kind of like fait accompli, in that like very early on, the studio is aware of how successful a film will be, like if the license partners want nothing to do with it. And that's where like you'll see things like, oh, like look at Shang-Chi. And I can't speak for any of you guys, but like every store I go to, whether it be like Walmart, Target, anywhere that carries like Marvel Legends figures, like those things have been like peg warming for months, and they're all on clearance. Because then that's the thing, that like if they would have brought like Shang-Chi like stuff to like the merchandising people, consumer products, they would have been like, yeah, these like character designs and like costumes and stuff like are not really that appealing. There's nothing really, like our market research says this would not be a big toy seller. Because if you remember, like, yes, these movies do make money, but the true dollars are in the ancillary merchandise, which is what Lucas built most of his fortune on. That's kind of the point of all this, is that like you just can't have one branch of the company be like, okay, we're pouring $200 million into this, other branches be damned. It's like this weird form of like, I don't even say weird, it's this very unique idea of checks and balances within the company, which is ticking off the studio heads that don't like this sort of, oh God, again, checks and balances. Does that make sense, or is this kind of come across convoluted?
Well, the other thing too, Zach, is you have to also think about it this way. You look at the stuff that they make after the movie is made. Most of the times the summer blockbuster of the year, especially if anything was buzzworthy, those you had fully stocked shelves and they were ready for the holiday time when it came out on DVD release or VHS release back in the day. So people would get it. You could get say if it was a Star Wars movie came out in May, next thing you know, that DVD or VHS would come out that holiday season. The toys were already out. Next thing you know, you'd have an uptick on merchandising, and you get some after effect from the video release.
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah, that was a huge thing with Star Wars. That's why Lucas deliberately like positioned those, like, it's not originally back in the 1977, but like especially during the prequel era, that was a big reason, because you could double dip on the merchandise sales.
So what they're doing now, though, is you look at most of the Disney properties. If it's not a princess, they haven't been hitting the mark on it. No. The Disney properties that they own, like the Disney princesses, Mickey Mouse, everything like that, they're pretty good on it. But it's this other stuff that they picked up: Marvel, Star Wars. They have Fox coming with their movies that they're going to be putting out. That they can't keep up. The other thing too is there's no toy stores. There's no toy stores around in the United States. You have Amazon, Walmart, and Target.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the people, the hardcore collectors, are going to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning waiting for the doors to open to get their figure. Then you're going to have the eBay people that sit there and pick up the stuff so they can sell it on eBay. And they're going to come there multiple times. And then what happens to that little kid that wants that toy? They're going to Amazon, they're going to Walmart.com, but you guys are even seeing it too, because you guys are getting your orders canceled.
Mm.
So there is no distribution for that stuff anymore.
But, it seems like the timing of everything is so screwed up now. I don't know if it's just because of all these delayed films, but Shang-Chi toys should not be on the shelves months before. No kid, barely comic book readers barely know who Shang-Chi is at this point. True. And the same with Ghostbusters, they screwed up with Wonder Woman. It's like they can't help it. It's like the toy production goes in and like, we're not sitting on this for 2 years till you decide you're ready to put in a theater. So everything seems screwed up with this right now.
And that's what comes down to Black Widow, because Black Widow was supposed to be released back in 2020 or end of 2019. Then you had COVID. They backed it off, backed it off, backed it off, backed it off. More stuff was going online about that movie than it was actually. People were seeing more stuff online about that movie than they were actually in the theater because they couldn't go to the theater. It was something that was losing them money. It was losing momentum. It was losing their place in it. The only bad thing is they should have renegotiated the contract with Scarlett Johansson because she had an old contract. And that's the only thing that happened with that. She was working off a multi-year deal. Didn't have anything in there about having to wait for the release of this movie. And that's what happened. She's at the end of her run. I don't think they're going to have her back as the Black Widow in a Marvel series anytime soon, unless it's a cameo. She's not going to make her money. And all of these people have it in their contracts, similar to Robert Downey Jr., because he started it with Iron Man, that he gets a percentage of box office revenue. Streaming service is not box office revenue. You can't, like Zach said before, you can't quantify it. There's no numbers that people can see. They're not going to give the numbers to her to see how many people watched it on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, and like I said, like obviously the current landscape we're in right now, like Joe said, when it comes to like pandemic stuff, like it's not exactly fair to sit there and be like, oh well, this. But like, how many times have we seen, like, again, like I'm trying to think of another example of like a Disney thing where like you could tell that like the merchandise wasn't like there. Like, okay, another example from like 2013. Like I remember like when the Lone Ranger came out, it like there was like, yeah, I know, insert laughter here. But like I remember NECA made like Lone Ranger and Tonto toys. And I remember like seeing those on shelves once and I never saw them again because like it was just like I think every Toys R Us got like, oh God, a box, so like 2 of each figure, and that was it. And if you look,
I remember seeing them too, and I regret not grabbing one because I'm going, whoa, that's weird, and yeah, never to be seen again. That Johnny Depp chase figure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and those are like, not to say that they're extremely hard to find, but like figures that were like $15 like 8 years ago are now like $70 because they were made. Because like, guess what? The licensed partners saw what was happening. They looked at this stuff like, oh geez, like we don't want to make like there's like zombie jackalopes and Johnny Depp has like a dead bird on his head.
It's Wild Wild West all over again.
Oh yeah, 100%. I know it's delightful. I love the Lone Ranger because it's insanity. Coming soon to a Cinemoddities nearest you. But like in Helena Bonham Carter has like an ivory leg that Barry Pepper likes to stroke. Like it is a bonkers film. Go check it up on Disney Plus if it's even on there.
It is.
Is it? Everybody, there's no excuse. Go watch The Lone Ranger. If you're not watching the season 1 finale of The Wild Bunch, go watch The Lone Ranger. You won't be disappointed.
I mean, unless you're stuck in a boiler room or something.
You know what? I didn't mute you. You're getting muted right now. No, but that's just
forever.
That was pretty.
That's the point of all this. It's the notion of like, whereas like. Obviously, Bob Iger's administration or regime at Disney was like, Shang-Chi, Eternals, why not? Greenlight it. And that's why also, too, that like I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago, like the idea of like Marvel and Hasbro with the What If figures. There's a reason why like a month before that show premieres, like you can pre-order What If figures. So now, like after you watch the first episode with like Captain Carter, or whatever her name is, Captain Britain, whatever her official title is now, What If, like you can pre-order that figure. So like when the figures are released like 6 months from now, you don't have to worry about it because guess what? Consumer products and merchandising was like, oh, this is something we can sell. We can greenlight it. And that's the thing that's going to be happening going forward. I think it's good in one regard because it means you're going to get stuff like you're not going to get like, oh God, these very just I don't know. It's both a blessing and a curse because I think you're going to get stuff that really has to kind of be like engaging in the sense of like it has to be really something kind of like, okay, like the toy people are like, we can sell this. There's something unique about it. But I think there's also the negative possibility of like, oh, you're only going to get like pre-established iconography like Boba Fett. It's like, would we, with this sort of regime, for the same reason why like we're excited that we're getting a Boba Fett TV show, would you get something like Rogue One?
See, I don't agree with that because it's the one of the issues with it is because everyone, if they see a commercial for it, they want the figure for it now. If the figures aren't out now, they're missing the boat.
I agree with you on that. Like, I think
Because if all of those figures should be out for that, like case in point, that What If show, you should not have to wait 6 months.
Well, okay,
6 months is a long time in order to sit there and put an order in.
Well, this is the thing. I want to ask Chris about this because Chris and maybe Joe, you can answer this as well. I think part of the reason why this is happening is because like we're kind of going to a quasi like, oh God, hot toy scenario. And that like I think they're deliberately doing this stuff so far in advance that they're actually like, you tell me, Chris and Joe, do you think they have yet to make these Hasbro What If figures yet? Or is this like, or like, have they already made these figures and they're en route to like the United States from China? Or is this a way of gauging like pre-orders? Like, is this like a quasi version of like a HasLab? Like, is everything now like weirdly migrating to like a crowdfunding model where that like, if they know the demand is there through X amount of pre-orders, they'll make that finite amount times like 10% or plus 10%.
Joe might have better insight on that. I mean, like you're so are you talking about like Marvel What If?
For this example, yes.
So that would be like you're talking about like Marvel Legends figures, basically, right?
Well, it's the idea of like merchandise where like, or you know, Chris, we'll bring this back to Star Wars. We talked about like the vintage collection Clone Wars repackaged figures, like Fordo, all of them. Think about it. Like they put those figures up for pre-order mid-July 2021 with an estimated release date of like March 2022. Like I think it's fair to say those figures have not been produced yet. Or am I wrong in that assumption?
Well, there's a big difference between those and like actual new characters for like a Marvel Legends figure, right? Even though Marvel Legends notoriously reuse a lot of parts, like there would still be some level of like new tooling involved, which is not the case for any of those Star Wars figures.
For the sake of argument, if they already have like, let's redo this again. Black Series Clone Wars figures of Fordo, Grievous, and Mace Windu. Let's assume that they're a similar thing where like obviously there's some level of reusable parts in this, but it's in the same level of like a Marvel Legends where like it's like what 50% reused parts, 50% new sculpt, or it's some mismatch. It's not exclusively a new mold.
So you're basically saying why aren't those already out? Because the What If series has premiered, or what?
No, the question is that like I think they're coming to a point where they are deliberately doing like they're announcing this stuff like 6 to 8 months before it's intended to hit shelves as a way of like gauging numbers on the actual production of the figures, so they're not stuck with like a bunch of Rick Ole's or Goss Towers from The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
this is a way.
That sounds right. That sounds completely right to me. I think there's a cool parallel here, which is like I wish that Hasbro would operate this way, but like there's obvious reasons why they don't. But I don't know if anyone else besides I think Zach's a pretty big Halo fan. I am a huge Halo fan.
I was a big Halo
fan. Well, you know, like you've probably seen like there's a current like 6-inch and 3 3/4 Halo line from Jazzwares, I think it is. And like they are, I don't know about there, but they're everywhere here. There's probably 20 figures in the 3 3/4 line. And there's like a Warthog, and like there's like vehicles and a bunch of figures, and they're easy to find. I don't know if that's just because no one wants them or like where I want them though. But the 6-inch ones kind of suck, but the 3 3/4 line's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's
but
like
kids these days don't know what a Halo is.
But there's been Halos coming out.
It's that thing that Beyonce sings about.
Exactly.
I think kids know what Halo is because there's it's a competitive. It's a competitively played game. Children.
I got that, Russ. I got that.
Thank you.
There's 13-year-olds who play Halo and make millions of dollars, so kids know what it is.
What Halo are they playing?
Master Chief Collection. They're not playing 5. Yeah, but
I was about to say if they're playing 5, I've got bad news for them.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing 5 a little bit because I was within striking distance of rank 152 to get like a unique armor set in Halo Infinite, but it's so close but so far really, and I don't think I can play enough Halo 5. I don't have it in me to like I'm at like 149, but it's way farther than it sounds. But all that to say, like, you know, I don't know if you guys have been seeing them, but like the 3 3/4 Halo stuff, I see it at like every Walmart and Toys R Us and even EB Games. And
Toys R Us. What is this Toys R Us you speak?
Yeah, but they have it at all of them, and they have like the vehicles and the figures at all of them. And I don't know if that's just like because a new company was producing the figures, they were just like they had a more aggressive launch. But the fun thing about that, which sort of ties back to like what you're saying about like Shang-Chi and the What If series, is like the reason like those figures are out because the game was supposed to be released like a year ago. So like they came out on time and like they just let it happen, kind of like Joe figures.
Sure, no, I get it. Like I think the point I was making with the Shang-Chi figures is that like they're all kind of just like they're people wearing clothes. There's nothing visually exciting about them.
It's so funny that they haven't figured that out yet, right? Like even back in the day, like beyond the figures, like any ancillary Star Wars stuff would be Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca. Like there was less stuff of generic person, Luke and Leia and Han. It's like it's pretty obvious, right?
Exactly. I think that's the point at what this like Midnight's Edge video is getting at, and also just as a provocative topic of just conversation, is that like going forward, like it's the idea that like if again Lucasfilm, like the idea, and this is I think is both the blessing and the curse, is that like, oh, if you want a film or a TV show or whatever to get the green light, you have to basically provide again distribution, which is AK theatrical or digital distribution, and or the merchandising people something to latch onto that they feel that they can sell. And when it comes to merchandise, that can be a blessing with something like again like the Book of Boba Fett, which I imagine is gonna have a bunch of just Boba Fett criminals, bounty hunters, a bunch of just visually stimulating stuff. But at the same time though, something like Rogue One is not going to appeal to merchandising people because mostly it's just like we said earlier, humans in costumes. Like outside of a few Stormtrooper variations, there really isn't anything like hugely to latch on to in Rogue One except for what Saw Gerrera's partisans, and they have what a grand total of like 15 minutes. No, yeah, I think that would work, but I think
Baze and Cheered are pretty good too.
Yeah, but like you remember like the Rogue One product line, like 3 3/4 inch, like that was kind of another one that kind of sat on shelves for a while.
Yes, you can still find a Jyn Erso anywhere you go. Yeah, and there was nothing like a Porgs or a Babu Frick or anything like that to latch onto, and or say a little baby Grogu, or
Exactly. Who could have predicted the success of a freaking bird?
Star Wars puffin.
Exactly. Not Ellie. I got bet on that Fox thing that nobody cares about now.
See, exactly.
I got some Star Wars puffins with my Smuggler's Run Millennium Falcon. They didn't pack any silly foxes with that.
Exactly.
Wait, you got the Smuggler's Run Falcon?
Does this surprise you in some way?
Yeah, because that's like $400, like US, like Canadian. It's got to be like $500,000.
Dude, they had it. So they had it at good old Toys R Us on sale for 100 Canadian dollars off.
Off. 100 Canadian off, not 100.
So it was 500. So the retail was 500 Canadian, which is actually it's cheaper in Canada than it was in the US when you do the exchange rate, and I had 100 off that.
Fair enough. I kind of wanted that, but like that price tag always held me back.
Yeah, it's extreme, but it looks pretty awesome. And it comes with Porgs.
And the Honda Anaka.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about that, but it comes
everyone's favorite pilot of the Falcon.
Oh, the Millennium Falcon, yes. They based the entire ride off of it.
Goes him, Unkar Plutt, there's a couple more I forget, and I think Han Solo.
The Duquesne brothers.
I saw the Duquesnes.
Speaking of the glorious smugglers,
you tell Unkar Plutt that I stole back the Millennium Falcon.
Who's Unkar Plutt?
Simon Dengar. Yeah, but
Dengar
there's guys out there, like I saw this firsthand, like there's a guy like when the Smuggler's Run Falcon like got released, I saw guys posting on Facebook being like looking for a legacy Falcon, and like I would talk to them, I'd be like, listen, like It's at retail. You're gonna pay the same price for a legacy one, and this has a better paint job. And they were like not my Star
radar
Wars.
dish.
Not
Wrong radar dish.
It has both. It has both.
Does it?
Yes.
Oh.
They would have been fools to not put both. But they were ideologically opposed to buying it because it came with Hondo Onaka and had Hondo sounds. So like they were looking for an older, worse paint job one because they're like, I can't deal with the fact that Hondo is on the front of this box.
That's kind of great. Is it wrong that I kind of love that? Like Star Wars nerds refusing to buy something because it makes the wrong sounds. It
even has the Han Solo sounds too. There's a switch. You can go between the Galaxy's Edge sounds and the Legacy Falcon sounds. But like
I
just
love
the
that.
fact
That makes it even better. That makes it even funnier when you think about it.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like I talked to a guy and I was like, listen, like it's really about the weathering job on the paint that is why you should get this one. And he just could not be reasoned with. It was great.
I just keep it in on car plot mode. Like, that's my ship as it flies off.
That's mine.
Shakes fist.
I love it. Oh,
Russ,
Star Wars.
why is your Uncle plot just Ray Romano?
I don't know, because Simon Pegg's boring in that.
Don't you dare, Zenger. Don't you dare, Zenger, make fun of Russ's accent.
I'm not.
He did a perfect Alex Jones.
And no, it's great because I was not expecting Ray Romano to be upset about the Falcon leaving. I mean, it's just forces of nature.
Portion.
Can you do a Brad Garrett, Russ? This is become Russ just like voice.
No, I'm not doing Brad Garrett. All right, come on.
That was a.
I mean, maybe if you smoke like 200 cigarettes, you could maybe do it.
Well, Russ.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
See, I love how I'm sliding in more Batfleck movies, and he's not even catching on this time.
Because we're ignoring you in that regard. We don't want to hear your nonsense anymore. Just go away.
Well, I guess I'm just chasing Amy at this point.
That doesn't make any sense. You're a bad person.
There were a few good ones though.
There were a few good ones, and he like runs it into the ground with his like normal.
Dang straight! I just gotta destroy it so that no one else can enjoy it but me. See, that's what I should have done to Star Jones. I should have destroyed it so no one else could have taken it.
Don't you dare, Zenger! Don't you dare!
So while I've been like a little bit quiet because I'm just generally pleased that like Zenger and Russ are like on the show and I can listen to them say hilarious things. I've been like loosely assembling my like bootleg Razor Crest and like which is like a Zenger-ish activity to like not pay attention at all and like do something
Indeed
random.
It is.
But so like first initial observations. It came with two.
Good. We're getting live review. It
came with two carbonite blocks, which are also chrome, that of characters frozen in carbonite that I did not know it came with. And one is like a very obviously female Boba Fett that is frozen in carbonite. And the other one is some sort of death metal looking stormtrooper, which I don't know what that's about at all. But that's pretty cool. And other than that, it looks really awesome, except for the back door ramp will not close. But it's a bootleg, so I'll have to work on that. Everything else looks pretty good. The one door does not close. But what are you going to do? It's unlicensed. Looks amazing. As you were.
As we were. All right. But no, that's the overall point of the Night's Edge video. The idea that there's like a new level of management at the Walt Disney Company which will obviously trickle down to Lucasfilm and Star Wars. So it's going to be interesting to see what projects will be greenlit, which ones from the Bob Iger era will be shut down. Once again, I would be shocked if Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron ever makes it to any sort of release.
You mean after that promo video, they're going to cancel it?
We can only hope that they'll cancel it after that promo video. Put it out of its misery. As Zenger would say, burn it with fire.
People like X-Wings, man. If they buy X-Wings, it'll be out. That's basically the bottom line.
Literally every Star Wars movie Disney has put out has had X-Wings in it. We got enough.
And if it sells...
No, Did Solo have X-Wings? Did Solo have X-Wings?
I'm confident that if you... Like, I've seen it once, so I don't remember. But if you scrub through it, they're probably in there somewhere. Because they're on Corellia. Like, weren't X-Wings made on Corellia?
I don't think. Why would it be X-wings made in the same place that they're building Star Destroyers?
Never mind. X-wings don't exist yet in Solo, probably.
Might be with the Rebels when they were
But
on.
there really aren't quite rebels yet. Like they're and like I mean I guess you have that like what's that? You probably knows that. What's the like clone X-wing in Episode 3 called? Like maybe
Arc 130.
Yeah, they probably still have those in Solo times. It's probably not a full X-wing yet.
You know, you can get a
Could be the
pre-order.
Headhunter.
You can pre-order a mini bust of Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Okay.
Everyone knows that the only acceptable Grand Admiral Thrawn collectible to have is the Power of the Force 2 one with the Salamiri scarf.
Darn.
Really? Oh, geez. All right, gentlemen. Anything else regarding Star Wars nonsense or Ben Affleck movies would like to get out of the way before we end this recording?
Why would we talk about Ben Affleck movies? Nathan Fillion plays himself in more things than anything else, I feel.
I don't know.
How did I get to Nathan Fillion, by the way? Oh, Suicide Squad.
I still don't understand this, like the Ben Affleck thing. Like I'm no closer to understanding why.
I thought I'd explain it to you at this point.
It's his birthday.
Yeah.
There it is, obfuscated yet again.
Alrighty. God, Star Wars nonsense and Ben Affleck nonsense. I hate you too, Rob. You know you're not here. I hate you just the same. So conclude this episode of the Knights of Vader, a Star Wars podcast. Check out our Facebook group. We are waiting for you when you type in Knights of Vader on the good old Mark Zuckerberg box. Type in, wrong one, KOV Podcast on Instagram, where you will find Chris Porteous posting pictures of his bootleg prize. If you like what you hear, please rate, review, subscribe to us on iTunes, wherever podcasting platform you're currently listening to us on. Thank you to An Insperiority Complex providing our theme song. Check out the show notes to hear more from them. When you're not listening to me on this podcast, having Ben Affleck movies read to me, come listen to me on the Cinemoddities podcast, where you can listen to Rob yell about Ben Affleck titles. Well, I am not present. But I know as the fourth year concludes on Cinemoddities, we will talk about such gems as The Others, Rat Race, Jeepers Creepers.
Rat Race is good. Rat Race is good, real good. Underrated.
No, I did not like that movie. I was very disappointed. As I have not seen that movie in years, I finally rewatched it for the fourth year, and I was very, very disappointed. But
so
I get
what you're saying is maybe I should revisit. What do you have against Seth Green?
That he's not particularly funny unless he's like doing like Robot Chicken.
You know what? I had an inkling to just play Mass Effect in the background this entire episode, and I didn't. And now I'm regretting that decision.
Zenger's like, I wasted my life on the IMDb page for Ben Affleck for 2 hours. I have wasted my life.
I could have been playing an amazing Seth Green vehicle, but no, I decided to be responsible.
And read Ben Affleck titles and make quasi-bad puns on a third-rate Star Wars podcast.
Heck yeah. But if you want a second-rate Star Wars podcast, check out ZengThis.
No. Don't you dare put that evil on Knights of Vader.
I just said ZengThis. I didn't say the other thing.
It doesn't matter. It's people might get confused like I do. ZengThis, Zeng W. We're not going to say the full thing.
But Zach, the initials for that show are your initials. We did it to honor you.
I just slowly pick up the gun and just put it toward my mouth very slowly. Alrighty, when you are not putting together a bootleg Mudblood 1 or Mudborn, whatever it is, Chris Porteous, what are you up to?
It's Firespray 1, and you can find me at the Chris Porteous on Instagram and KOV Podcast on Instagram.
All right, Russ Ryan, when you are not purchasing McClunky voice modules, where can you be found?
You can check out my show, Unbelievers Podcast. And check me out on the Foot Soldiers of Helm's Deep coming soon. And yeah, that's it.
And Mr. Yazzo.
You can find me on eBay, Mooey's Vault 12601, and also Ben Affleck if you're listening. You know, you could always come on and you can always have a conversation with us. We would be happy to tell you what character in Star Wars you could be.
That should have been the episode. What character Ben Affleck could play in Star Wars?
Any of them.
We've definitely talked about Ben Affleck's birthday more than anyone else on any podcast ever has.
So he should actually come on the podcast. I think that's an open invitation to Ben Affleck. If you're listening, come on, Knights of Vader. We'll have a good time. We'll treat it like it is your birthday, like today is. So, come on, let's do it.
He could be the man to shoot down Trapper Wolf.
Like today is.
Oh God! All right, everybody. Good night, but not goodbye. And as always, down with the Empire. Yes, but we should tweak that and do remember Camino down with the Empire, as Chris said last week.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Is that a controversial statement, or is that kind of is everybody on board with that?
All right, that's it. Remember Tapioca City down at the Empire. Good night. Sure.
Let's do it. Zenger, are you ready? Are you still yelling at Cinemax?
Not yet. I mean, I'm not yet done yelling at them, but I'm.
Yeah,
ready
you have
for
to
this.
save some of those for the middle of someone else's sentence.
Yeah,
Yep.
someone's like,
I thought they said it was hardcore now. This is the same. He's doing it to her like stomach. This makes no sense.
No, I just want to fucking watch goddamn Jojo Rabbit, but apparently no. Cinemax apparently has it, and I don't have Cinemax. Why the
Bunch of
fuck would that
Nazis.
be on? Yeah, exactly.
Spoiler.
Oh my God, Singer, you're delightful. All right. Thank God that was recording. Thank God the last 30 seconds was recording.